How's my hair look? This isn't my first
Is
one.
mine okay?
Well, it could be longer. Why do you go bald?
I don't think it could be, no.
It could
well,
go
it
longer.
could be a few places.
Well, don't let your beard go wrong.
My
I hate
ear-
guys with no hair and a lot of hair.
Oh, that was what I was going to do.
Oh, God. I wouldn't talk to you.
Yeah, her brother.
Dusty Hill died.
Oh, and young.
72, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Did
This
you
is how it's
Buddy
gonna
Guy
go.
turned 85?
Yes, yeah.
85.
That's the only reason I buy that paper. Yeah.
I just got
We
it
were
on.
talking about going in there to see when he was going to be there. You've been to the club. The other thing I was going to ask you, what about Ravinia? Is that opened up yet, or?
I don't know. We used to go there. We
I know
saw
it.
we saw Buddy Guy there.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think it's back up.
That
and running
Ravinia's
yet.
back up, yeah.
I don't
Oh, that's a great venue.
If you guys want to go and wonder where hard rock, black t-shirts, and black pants went, go to a place called the Apollo Ballroom in Belleville Thursday night. And these are like level B bands. They play 4 or 5 songs and they're off, and you see 5 bands nonstop.
Wow.
It's a rock and roll boogie woogie. And, I mean, it's hard.
Up.
I was the oldest guy there, of course.
Hi, John. Hi, Carol.
But
All
You
right.
give me the
I will give you the.
finger.
I'll give you the finger.
the magic finger. But if you get a chance,
Here is the
Ooh.
magic finger. There you go, bud.
Hey everybody, we're here amongst the rain, but we're not going to let it deter us because we're got a special guest here tonight. But I want to say something before we do this. You guys, in thoughts and prayers to Jody and Quinn and Nancy and Mike. Carol Finicum passed away today, and that would be Quinn's grandma and Jody's mom. So she was in a nursing home, and it's more of a blessing. But you know, just keep them in their thoughts and prayers and stuff. So it's been a rough couple weeks. Jay's dad passing away, and it's just been a rough. We've had a string of people that we know that have passed, but I've been waiting for this for a while. And I was at the gas pump at Mobile gas station, and who pulls up next to me but Bernie Buckley? And I was thinking right away, I go, oh shit, he'd be great to have on our sipping trip, because he could talk about, if you grew up in Sterling, you knew the name Paradox. We all did. But to be on and talk about Paradox. You know, it was a head shop. I called it a head shop because you could go in and you could get papers, you could get pipes, you could do stuff, and you could get concert tickets too. So, and he'll elaborate a little bit more on what they sold and about some of the history of some of the other, what was the one, Bernie, called miscellaneous
paraphernalia.
miscellaneous?
Okay,
They were the
this
ones
was
who
a
broke
this
the
was a
ice.
trivia. They were first, right?
They were the very first. They were
Okay.
they broke the ice. Danny Garza, or Ishmael Garza, and Danny Gertz. Danny was from Rock Falls, and Ishmael was a West End Garza guy.
Okay.
Big Garzas were big. I don't know if you're, hometown, you knew the
Sure,
Garza
sure.
family. And what got them, they were the first one to cross the line.
What year would that have been?
Oh, right.
It said 69.
69.
Yep.
Okay.
Because I think we came to town. We had a store before that in Dixon, and then we came over here in about 73, 73.
Yeah.
And then
Right when I was in high school.
I was going to say, yeah, you were at Newman.
Yep.
You know.
Good Catholic boy.
Oh,
I was really
Yeah, that's how
why
it
we-
went.
we didn't do anything bad. I can still remember my mom going to, and when I say it, the kids go, what are you talking about, grade school? I go, it was called grade school. We went from kindergarten to 8th grade. Grade, you went first grade, second grade, it was called grade school. And I said, I went from kindergarten to 8th grade at Woodlawn.
Right.
And I can remember graduating in 73 and walking down the road thinking like, wow, we graduated and stuff like that. And coming home and my mom goes, you're going to go to Newman. I knew nobody. And so I passed religion the first year with a D-.
Oh.
And I looked at her and go, what do you expect? I didn't go to the Catholic
right,
school.
Had a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still
Well-
working on that, are you? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I grew up in Dixon and went to Newman.
Okay.
Okay. And graduated 10 years before Bud did. Okay. So I was bused before it ever got popular.
Oh, yes.
Getting on the bus every morning in Dixon and flying over here.
Oh my God. So who did you have? Who was the principal, Bernie, when you were in high school?
It was a nun. You'd have to go back to some of my classes.
Sister Clarice was there. She had to been. She was there when my mom was there.
It could have been. I don't know. There are classmates that follow it. I've kind of gotten away from it.
Sister Clarice had to have been there because my mom graduated in 47 and she had a freaking picture of Sister Clarice. I graduated in 77 and she was still there.
Wow.
And she
And I
used the same
graduated
picture.
67. Right.
Yeah. And so what was the place in Dixon called? This is Bernie, everybody.
Yeah,
Bernie
how do you
Buckley.
do? I really want to thank Bud and his wife to bring me into his backyard and have a nice afternoon and evening. So thanks. And I hope you're all having a good time hearing the stories.
So what was the name of the place in Dixon?
The place in Dixon was called the Moosehead. And there were 3 of us in business at that time. And we didn't know what to do. It was at the height of the Vietnam War. And for some reason, we were able to rent a 6-bedroom duplex. And actually 3 bedrooms on one side and 3 on the other. And we rented the 3 upstairs bedrooms. And of course, Bud, I know you and John Thompson drink coffee. And John's claim to fame was that he rented a room from us. And the downstairs was our first hippie store. And that was called the Moosehead. And the reason it was called the Moosehead was we'd gotten a stuffed moosehead, probably about the size of Jay here. And I stuck it out my
So
bedroom
really big.
window. Really big.
Yeah.
And stuck it out my bedroom window, and that was it. And that was the first hippie store. And that was
So what did you sell?
well, we were probably one of the largest waterbed distributors in this part of the world.
Oh yeah, those were really popular. I forgot about those water
We would buy
beds.
water beds by the semi-load, and we would sell them to other stores.
Really?
And you didn't invent the peace sign, Bud. We had a. if you could find a picture, we had dug out and planted with petunias a peace sign
Where at?
at this house, which is now the parking lot for the new Sauk Valley Bank.
Wow,
Walk.
really?
Okay.
Right,
Lean
right.
Avenue.
That big house they tore down there was a.
Well, no, we were next to the big house.
Okay,
We were in a place that should have been condemned.
okay.
Okay. and so we, the Moosehead hung on my bedroom window, and so we rented out myself and 2 other partners. We lived in the house, and we rented the other 3 bedrooms out to cover expenses. And then we turned the ground floor into a shop. And I should have brought it with me, but if anybody could think of it, they should go and find. There's a Telegraph article talking about the Moosehead, and this was BD, which would be before drugs, and then there's AD after drugs.
Okay.
So this would have been BD, and we were written up in the paper. We had a party, and we invited the mayor, and we invited everybody, the Pope, and they came to this party. You know, well. At that time, we were selling waterbeds, so we took a vacuum cleaner and we filled up a waterbed, which was at that time a king-size waterbed. If you all know, it's probably the size of your little wood deck here. And we put it in the front yard. Well, a waterbed filled up with air looks like a huge, I don't know how you describe it.
Like a bouncy house, only you can't get in it.
Pretty much, exactly. A bouncy house, you couldn't get in it, yeah. And that was the start. I mean, we did it. And
So who were your partners?
a gentleman by the name of Bill Centenny, who is down in Southern Illinois.
Okay.
And a gentleman by the name of Ron Gillane, who is a great young man. Or not, well, I consider myself young. He's a great young man, and he still lives in Dixon. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, how long was the Moosehead in operation, and what prompted you to move from Dixon to Sterling and start Paradox?
Business, just more.
Did you have both of them going at once or no?
No, I don't remember if they maybe 2 weeks apart, a month apart, whatever. I mean, we just it wasn't. So we were probably in Dixon 2 years, 3
Okay.
years, and did that. We had great employees. I don't know, Bob Bellotti did a lot of our graphic work.
Oh, no kidding.
Bob.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
sure. I know
Oh, yeah.
Bob.
I've got great pictures of Bob. Actually, if you could, I've got one in my office at home. Is the original Moosehead shopping bag, and it was designed by Bob. And what was really interesting was we made sure that it was big enough to hold an album. You didn't need a big bag to hold cigarette papers, and you didn't need a big bag to hold incense. But if you wanted to sell albums, you had to put that sucker in a bag, and we made a bag big enough to do it. Mm-hmm. And Buyer Bag was in business, and he was a great old guy.
Yeah, I remember going there with Mrs. Lundstrom in '73.
And he was a great old guy, and of course he saw, well, hey, 3 kids, at least they're working, they're trying to do something. And so he said, okay, I'll give you your first 10,000 bags for cost, And I remember we went to the bank, and oh man, we were bad juju. But
This is still BD.
Why? How did you pitch that?
this was right at the cusp of it. This
Of
was
the-
all
so-
kind of,
so we're
yeah, I
about
was
to-
transforming, and so was
We're
my
about to
business.
cross over into AD.
Right,
Gotcha.
exactly. Yep. And So we went to the bank, and I remember that I don't even remember the guy's name, but he saw the vision
Cool.
and rolled us for, I don't know if you remember, we borrowed.
Rolled one up, you said?
No,
Or
rolled us, bankrolled us.
Oh,
Rolled us
okay.
with the money.
I thought you meant he
No,
rolled
no,
one
no,
up
no,
because
no,
it was
no,
AD.
But that's years later.
Okay.
Now they're all the bankers are.
Yeah.
But he bankrolled us, and we turned whatever money we had. Well, I don't know if you remember, it was 5 or 10,000, and didn't think anything of it. And we went and paid off the loan like in 2 months.
Wow.
I mean,
This is in Dixon?
yeah, just because of the demand and the margin for the product we sold. And I mean, like waterbeds. You know?
Right.
Really? I didn't know. That's interesting.
And we did incense. We used to do incense. We would.
Well, I remember Paradox had a lot of incense.
Yeah, we would make incense and do all that and package it up and let everybody use it. But yeah, so that was it. So the Moosehead was 3 years, and we saw commerce coming. Like I was telling Bud, when we moved there, there was an industry every day of the week that paid money. Somebody got a paycheck, starting with the steel mill with 5,000 employees.
Sure.
National, Lawrence Brothers, RB&W, France, whoever. I mean, there was money on the streets back in the 70s, and that's what led to the growth. I mean, that's what did it. So
Yeah.
and then started the Paradox.
Nice. Was
And it-
was the what was the impetus for having the albums? Because I think different people remember it as
Co-op tapes and records.
the thing. Well,
Yes,
yeah, and
exactly.
the thing that they wanted. Like when I had money in my 13, 14-year-old pocket,
You bought the Beatles White album,
I went to you
right? And why?
because of the albums.
Yeah, but why? But why else? Was it the cheapest place you could buy it?
No, because it was hip to go to Paradox.
It was
Everybody-
where
It was
my
to go to Paradise. Okay.
it
that's-
was-
there
it
we
was-
go.
No,
That's-
seriously,
well,
Bernie.
it was-
okay, Ed.
When we were in high school, everybody goes, "Yeah, man, we went down to Paradox, man." And I bought tickets. I'm not kidding you, because you were a ticket outlet for
Yeah.
concerts. I bought my ticket to Boston and Journey at Bradley down there.
Yeah.
And I went with these girls from freaking Prophetstown that were the craziest freaking girls that I ever came across. I'm friends on Facebook with Karen and with gosh, what's her name? I can't remember the other girl's name. These girls were, I mean, I was straight-laced little buddy, and
Little buddy.
These
You
girls,
weren't big buddy yet.
no.
these girls.
He was just
He was right. At least he was little buddy.
Yeah,
These
he
girls-
was little buddy.
When did he change? Bud, when did you change?
I
When
changed
did you cross over?
after
we were
after,
all
What was-
BD.
what was your
but now
cusp?
we're AD.
after high school
Okay.
when I went to college.
And do you remember that first time?
Oh yes.
There you go.
And I can remember it was at
Do
Midway.
we get calls? Can we take calls?
No, it'd be great if we could take calls.
If anybody
that's what
wants
we
to
need.
ask Bernie
If
a
you
question,
guys got
just
questions,
put it.
ask Bernie.
Yes, that's
Ask
what I'm saying. We
Bernie.
should-
Just
be doing stuff
post a
coming in.
question. I'll get it up there.
Okay.
What was the movie with Bernie?
Weekend?
Weekend
Weekend
with
at
Bernie's. Yeah.
Hopefully this goes better than that.
Well, much better. And of course, but we would
Wasn't
like to be
Bernie
as successful
dead?
as Uncle Buck.
That's what I meant.
That's what I
We'd like to
mean.
be as successful as Uncle Buck.
There you go.
So I mean, there's the bad Bernie, and then there's the good Uncle Buck.
I got to tell you a story before I forget it and before it gets lost in the chaos. I went in multiple times
Okay.
to get whatever album
Thank you.
I was after. It was usually when Mom was coming shop. This is before I drove. I was there 13, 14, 15 years old.
What do you think of that, Frankie? Pretty good.
And I walked in and went, records. All the rest of it was like, well, that's not my thing
Kinda
yet.
weird, yeah, right. Kinda weird.
But I'm there for the records. Well,
Right.
Mom would be down the street shopping at wherever, Klein's or wherever.
Yeah.
And
Fort Hopkins, Scott's.
She came to get me because she was done and she knew I was there, and I would
Right.
just rifle through everything
Oh,
and
just
stand
bins of
and
them.
shoot the shit and
Bins of
whatever. She came in one time. Yeah, she was a little surprised about the
Other things.
other things that were in the store that her
Right.
young, impressionable
Now,
little buddy
Now, there
had
was
been,
people that
had
went
been
down-
around. And I go,
was
I'm
that
here
at
for the
store?
records.
Was that the store next to the old Haymarket bar?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was the first Paradise.
Yeah.
The Haymarket, next there.
And you know what was in that store next to the Haymarket? before you were
The
there.
Red Lantern Restaurant.
The Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
And I could open that garage and I could take the post out that says no dumping, welcome to the Green Lantern. And that's my grandma's restaurant.
Hey, I got a question.
I grew up in that restaurant.
Really?
Yes. I grew up every Sunday after church. We would go there and all us cousins would have to set up the tables and that. And my mom and my aunt and my grandma would go in back and cook us breakfast. We had breakfast every Sunday there. And every Mother's Day, all us cousins, we weren't doing anything but standing in back, washing dishes as fast
Cleaning
as we
up.
could
Yeah.
because it was so busy in there. And you know where Phil Maddox's insurance is?
Yeah. Down the street and to the
right,
left.
Right. At Phil Maddox's insurance at the time was Sterling Floral Shop, which my dad ran. If you go downstairs in Phil Maddox's building, you can still see the cooler in the basement from my dad's flower
For
shop.
the flower shop.
But anyway, so my dad would go from the flower shop to the Green Lantern restaurant and have lunch. Well, and he swooned my mom and got her pregnant with
Here
my
you
brother,
are.
not me. I'm legitimate. My brother was illegitimate.
Oh, gee. He's the one.
Yep, he's the one. But anyway,
oh, boy,
but
what
there,
here?
but Bernie, if you go down there, if you go down there right now and you open the door to go, you know, and that building's for sale.
Yeah, right.
But if you go into that building and you look down, the mat is still there. It says "Welcome to the Green." It says Green Lantern on it. It's
Because
still
it's a built-in mat.
yes.
Yep.
Now, did Frank Williams own that building?
I don't know who owned the building.
He owned the bar on the end and gave that to the kid. And then Frank owned the building we rented from Frank.
Okay.
Okay, and again,
He might have bought it from my grandma. My grandma owned the building at the time,
Okay.
and it would have been probably. She left the club. You know where Klein's is at?
Right.
Around that corner, there was a restaurant called the Club Cafe, and then she got divorced from my grandpa, and she came around and bought
took the lantern.
the Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And it had that mural along the wall.
Yeah, right.
You know, and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
we, oh my God, the food down there. I've got pictures and stuff, you know,
It
of
was
it.
supposed to be a good spot. I mean,
Oh, it was the spot to eat.
Yeah,
I mean, my
yeah.
grandma. I mean, if I ever won the lotto, I'd buy that building and I would take the picture I've got and I go, all right, you know, and I'd probably get Scott Hibbert. I go, build this just like this,
Yeah,
and we're going to
replicate
eat
it.
there one day.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
Open it back up. Go retro and open it back up.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. You
But
could-
the Haymarket was, I mean, and it was a booming place. The Haymarket had the, you know, the corned beef sandwiches and
2
stuff.
inches, 5 inches thick. All that.
You know, I mean,
Warm beer and good sandwiches.
yeah.
They were famous for it.
But yeah, that's where you were at. But I didn't go to that. I don't remember going to that store. Maybe it was there. But didn't you
The
move
next
down
one moved down further east or west.
towards Walgreens, towards
further
Woolworths?
west, further west.
Yeah.
And at that time, Pete Wheeler owned that building, and that was basically right across the street from Sullivan's Clothing Store.
Yes.
Right.
Next to, well, now it's there's a banquet, or it's the bar, and then our old store is the banquet room, and then I don't know what's next door, and then there's the Fox down there, you know,
Yeah.
the
Right,
winery
right.
store and stuff like that. But
Right,
yeah.
and that's the one I remember going in and
Okay.
doing the albums and all the incense.
Yeah, and
you
we
know,
had the alley. We had an entrance door on the alley where you
Yep.
could sneak in and out, and nobody knew.
where you go
were going.
downstairs,
No.
Bernie.
Yeah, the basement flooded. We were real careful about that.
Yeah, it flooded. All right. We won't say what it flooded with.
Did I hear you say a little while ago somebody had a question for Bernie?
Yeah, we got a question. Randy Crawford asks, how did this business set you up for your future careers and success?
And that was from who?
Randy Crawford.
Randy Crawford.
I worked with him at National. He just
Did
moved
you?
to Florida. I think Randy moved to Florida. I think it's
Does it
Florida.
tell you where the call's from?
Randy, you'll have to reply and let us know where he's at.
He moved south. He used to be from Sterling. He worked at National.
Well, that's also the name of my son-in-law. He
National?
knows I'm doing this.
Oh.
Crawford.
Oh.
And he lives in Winter Garden.
Okay.
So
Well,
I
I'm
told
looking
him-
at a
I told him if he
profile
wanted to
picture
hear
of a
about-
brunette and a brunette.
If he wanted to hear how bad his father-in-law was, dial in tonight.
No, you were an innovator. I don't think you were bad.
Oh, no. And now, can you imagine living the cycle that we have? Remember, I mean, you know, in 1973, there were people got sentenced for 10 years for smoking marijuana.
And they had
And-
reefer
and Look at the
madness.
cycle where we are.
Right.
You know, you don't have a vape. You don't have a card. Did you have your vaccination card?
Yeah.
Get your medical marijuana card. The two go hand in hand.
And you know what?
I agree with the
Bernie, you used to be able to buy a fucking ounce for 25 bucks.
Well, the key is when you go up to somebody and say, have you ever seen a bag of marijuana this big? It's a three-finger lid. It wasn't an ounce. Before it was an ounce, it was a lid.
Okay.
Before it was an ounce, it was a lid.
And you know what? I can remember in horticulture class in high school, I can remember the teacher, I won't name his name, but I can remember the teacher going, and these were the crazy girls from P-Town. I remember him going like, whoever's putting the marijuana seeds in the pots out there and letting them grow, we can't grow that. Cut it out.
Right. Right.
Are you getting any of that in the ag class?
No, because all the teachers know what that looks like, and nothing gets by them anymore. So,
Yep.
yeah.
And it goes.
Randy clarified, Bernie is my father-in-law, and who is the guy in the background?
Oh, he can see Frank.
Yeah,
You can see Frankie.
it's his favorite Florida
Nephew.
friend.
Designated driver because he's drinking Maker's Mark. And I'm drinking tonight. I started out with 3 Floyd's Cheer the Team Ale, and I'm drinking Victory.
Well, before
Golden
I would
Monkey.
like to taste some of Lisa's scotch, just because I drink it too, and I just want a little bump of it, just to get a little flavor, to see what she had compared to. Because
And
I
that,
like to drink
let me
scotch.
let me tell you, that Scotch was like probably at least 8 or 9 times the cost of that bottle.
I'm sure.
So she'll have to get it for you.
Yeah, I'll get it
ask
once
her.
you finish up your other one.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, that's well. That'll be a to-go box.
So
Over my
Oh.
dead body.
When you get done, eating, when you're eating all the shrimp tartare or the shrimp casserole, and then there's the potatoes, and the girl says you want a box, and you go, yeah. And what are you gonna do with the potatoes? I mean, how many people? You see these people, and they take home. Boy, I need a box to take home. Well, there's 1 scoop of this, and there's 1 scoop of this, and a half a piece of fish fillet. What are they gonna do with it?
Feed the dog?
I don't know. Tacos? I don't know.
Not sure. That depends on how much AD you've had, I guess, at that point.
Could be.
so then when did Paradox close? What year did it close?
Well, see, I left about 1.5 years. Billy stayed with the business.
Billy.
Centenny.
Okay.
It was he and I at the end were the final two. We were the ones who made the decision to go to Sterling. We put the effort in to make it run. So made it happen.
So, and you knew a lot of mutual friends of mine, Carl Andrews, Pizza.
Oh, yep. Everybody, it was the same as if you were a union member at the mill. You knew them all. You might not like them all. You were all in touch with them in some way or another. You know, you'd see them at a party, an after bar, or at the bar. We talk about Mark Sissons would be a fun candidate for you to have.
Yep. Oh, yes.
I dealt with Mark a long time.
Yeah, and Mark's a great guy, much similar
That
to the three
sounded
of us.
bad, but
yeah.
I meant it nice.
So you knew Carl Andrews, Pizza,
Yep.
and you knew Bobby Snitchler.
Oh.
That's why I got reacquainted with
And
you.
Kay, sure,
Kay,
Bob,
sure.
I see, yeah, yep.
And
Ashley Kay was with us. She was with a great young man who died, unfortunately, and then hooked up with Bob. And yeah, there's Terry. Terry was your
Richard.
neighbor. And I was going to ask before we started, did Terry live?
Right there.
Not the big house.
yes, that's it.
Oh, I thought it was the one next to. So
No.
it was okay, right
Yeah,
next door. Yeah,
right
Terry
there.
had the big house.
Right. And then you knew, did you know Kirk Sadoff?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was my brother-in-law. I think that would have been, that would have been Kirk's. Jody and Kirk were step brother and step-sister, but that would have
Right.
been his
Yep.
stepmom.
I knew Kurt when he lived over in Rock Falls a lot. He'd rented the house there right across from there was a park there or something on one of the side streets out, in Rock
I was
Falls.
best man at his wedding, and then he got in a motorcycle accident and then ended up killing himself.
Yeah, real bizarre, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
miss him a lot. I remember him going. I can't remember what
When
was
was
it.
that, Bud?
Oh God, it's been. Lisa, when did Kirk? It's probably been
don't know now.
15 years.
Okay.
At least 15. At least
know,
15, close to 20.
You notice how we're getting old, especially Jay would too. You'd say, "Well, honey, remember it was only 5 years ago," and your wife goes, "No, honey, it was like 8, 9 years ago."
Right.
Where our window of time has gotten so narrow. And the kids today, time moves slow. In our world, does time move fast for all of us?
Oh,
My
fuck.
grandma used to say.
no.
It's,
fuck.
it's
Yeah.
gone.
I mean,
It's gone.
My grandma
yeah.
used to say every year is Christmas, 4th of July. Christmas, 4th of July, and it just keeps happening faster and faster. and
Exactly. So when you look back and you say, okay, well, you knew Kurt, or when Kurt lived, I can't tell you when it was. I know it was in this time frame of, this life that I had,
Sure. But I remember, God, it wasn't my 30th birthday because I did it with some other guys, but I think it was my 35th 35th or 36th
So you
birthday.
guys were too young to remember Millview.
What was Millview?
Millview was a neighborhood in Sterling. Great neighborhood in Sterling.
Say it that way again.
Millview. Okay.
No, we wanted you to say it the other way. Millview.
Millview? Well, it's, yeah, I'm from Illinois.
Okay.
I go somewhere, and Frankie knows this because we hang out in Florida a lot. And I go somewhere and say, well, where are you from? You know, you're fishing or drinking or doing whatever you're doing. And the guy says, where are you from? I says, well, I'm from Illinois. He goes, Illinois? I went, yeah, I'm near Chicago's. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
And you never, I mean,
I can be in Des Moines in no time.
Exactly. And that's what so why disrupt them? Why cause them confusion?
Right, exactly.
If
Just
they
let
think
it.
it's Illinois, it's Illinois.
Just let it go.
100%.
Just let it go.
I don't, you know.
What was the question a minute and a half ago?
Do you expect me to remember that?
Yeah, I don't.
I'm
I
gonna have
brought a
another
notepad
drink.
because I thought it might get intense.
My question.
Jay, don't fool me, buddy. You aren't the first. I have
But
a
anyway,
notepad
when
here,
Kirk-
and I have a list of things we haven't even hit on yet that y'all want to know about.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But Kirk,
A notebook. He has a notebook. I like that.
I
Oh, yeah,
remember,
yeah, oh,
Yeah.
And that's because of age. Now, if we
You're
were all
preaching to
younger-
the choir now,
if we were
kid.
all younger,
Oh,
we
yeah,
would
yeah.
get it, huh? At least if you have someplace in your office or somewhere where it's like you have notes everywhere.
on the computer, Bernie.
Oh, see, I went to school with Fred Flintstone.
you got to write it down.
Hard copy.
Yep.
Once it goes up
I agree
there,
with the call.
where
Well-
does it go?
Bernie, I wrote it down today, and I'm in Morrison. I'm going, all right, Michelle lives in Cleta, which I'm going to go right past Haben Road that can go to Cleta.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm rifling through all the papers I wrote her address on and her phone number on. So I'm going like, all right, I know she's on Facebook. So I message her and I go, Michelle, I said, I can come by, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, okay. And I said, well, give me your address because I said, and then when I was sitting at her house today, Dykey, I called her Dykey. It used to be Michelle Dykehuse. And I called her Dykey. We were in horticulture together. That's where I knew her from. But I told her, I said, I couldn't find your address or whatever. It was just all like lost in limbo. But the memory is I can't remember shit anymore.
No. And I don't want to. I think that's because of lifestyle. Because there are some people my age that can remember everything. So I'm not keeping my fat grams up, or I'm not doing enough of something because, I think I am slipping to some degree. Here it is, right here.
As long as you got the notebook, you're
but
fine.
when you agree, before you never had to use a notebook.
No.
Exactly.
I write everything
No,
down.
see, I got that from my dad.
Did you?
Yeah, he his whole life he had the notebooks, and he'd write down different lists, and here's the list
Yep,
for this,
yep.
and here's the list for that, and I still do that. Here's the list for.
When did your father pass?
Just like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, that's soon. Because but at the beginning made a comment about it.
Yep.
Okay, so I hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, what's in the last month? There's been several
Yeah.
people that have passed that
Yeah.
we've known.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. Dave Moore just passed, and I was at his funeral today. Dave was a great
Is
guy.
that? Did he have a?
Catfish Dave.
So was he your age?
No. Dave was almost 90.
Oh,
And
okay.
Years ago, before I didn't want to realize I wanted to work, I worked for the carpenters. I was a union laborer, and Dave was my carpenter.
So was he
Go back to
from?
the Paradox.
Was he from?
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. No. We're going back to the Moors. Was he from around this area?
Yes.
Okay. Was he
Very fancy.
was he related to the Moors that used to live on 3rd Street on the hill right there before the cemetery in Sterling?
No, these were Dixon Moores.
Okay. All right.
Dixon Moores.
The Dixon Moors.
The Dixon Moores.
Because the Moors.
Like the Dixon Lefevers.
Yep. And they're related to us.
Exactly, but I mean, you got the Dixon Lefevers and you got the Sterling Lefevers.
And the Sterling ones are better.
Are they?
Yeah. Oh, by far. By far.
Sure.
We're all,
And the crowd goes,
Right. Judges.
yeah,
Eh.
yeah. But it doesn't work.
So what was the other businesses in the like on the block in the downtown, generally speaking, the city
Was Record
city
Revolutions
council
there?
Record
Bud,
Revolution
I'm asking
was
a
right
question.
there. Yes.
God.
Yes, there was.
What was
Okay.
the other reaction of the business when you moved in? A bunch of young guys, and here's the stuff we're going to have. And once they realized what it was,
Well, let's
what
go-
was the reaction of the community
Okay, let's
over
go back to
large
your
and the
first question.
businesses?
The reason we did so successful with records were we made 2% profit. It was the loss leader. It was like buying your milk at Walmart. Because I could sell you a record, the Beatles' White Album, which at that time was inflationary at $10.
Sure.
or a painted Rolling Stone sticky fingers with the zipper that worked.
Yep, I
Right.
got it. I got it downstairs.
What's it worth? Is it opened? If it wasn't
Yeah,
open, it'd be
it's
part of your retirement plan.
No
It's
shit.
open.
It
It's
would be
open.
part of the retirement. But anyway, so there was the lost leader. Because I would sell, or I would get some other item in my store that I would pay $1 for and I could sell for $5.
Gotcha.
So you would buy one Beatles album and I would make 50 cents. But you might buy 2 or 3 other items that I might make $15 on.
Gotcha.
Lost leader.
Zigzag?
Kmart invented it.
Got it.
Zigzag?
Huh?
Zigzag?
Oh, the papers?
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
That's
You know what they
all
are
I-
today? Have you? I don't know what you do. I don't know what your lifestyle is. But a package of zigzags is $1. We sold zigzags for 20 cents.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What
Oh,
about the bongs?
Talk about inflation in the cigarette paper industry. And if y'all remember, well, you're all young, but we would sell flavored
Well, we
paper-
love you too.
kids. We would sell flavored papers, lemon, strawberry, mint, and they were the color of the flavor.
Oh, sweet.
Until it showed up on your lips and you went home.
So what about
You know?
the?
And we sold, and there was a brand new cigarette paper called Insta-Roach. Gone with the roaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those who don't, put up your hand. Nope, there's not one hand out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, had a built-in wire.
Oh, for the clip.
Correct. and so you'd be puffing away on your little bat. I call them bats. Your little bat, and there'd be this little wire, and as it kept going, you'd just bend the wire, and you had this little wire, and that was it was called Insta-Roach.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't look at that. I saw the bongs and the pinch hitters and the.
Oh, all the toys
Yep.
and the stone stuff. I mean, the stone.
Did the city give you guys a hard time?
That's kind of where I was going. before.
Exactly. Jay was ahead of that.
Right. That's-
Well, we were accepted in the neighborhood because we brought traffic.
Sure, foot traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that, so, like us or not, that was what they did.
Right.
Yeah, they gave us pressure. Yeah, we got pressure. I don't even remember who the chief of police was, but I was telling Frankie earlier that one thing I remember was I mean, it's not like we came into town on cover of darkness. You know, we had our permits and licenses. And, you know,
You were stealth.
People woke up some
Yeah.
Tuesday morning
Yeah.
like, what the hell's
Yeah.
this store?
the whole box smells like strawberry. You know, I mean, or patchouli, huh, girls? Y'all wear patchouli, and it's coming back for the ladies. Patchouli, look at her, she knows.
I wear it,
Oh, you don't.
and I like pink.
Well, I like. Here, you want to see what color is pink? Here, I got pink on. But
Sip and trip after dark.
get the kerosene lamps. But the story I remember was, and you know, we were legit, and there was Billy and I. We were working there, and God bless Bill. And the chief of police and the fire marshal, chief of fire police came in and said, "Oh, how'd you guys get in here?"
Gassel?
Huh?
Was it Gassel?
No, I don't even remember. I don't. It was somebody who didn't. You know. I mean, but they were barking at the wrong tree.
Sure.
You know. What is so funny is, I don't know. One time we had an attorney, Terry Brooks. You probably never.
Sure.
Terry's an author now.
Right. I was just going to say the name of the
Well,
author.
actually, Terry is an attorney by trade.
Okay.
Okay, and now he writes Star Wars and
Sure, he
you know,
made-
lives in Hawaii, and Terry's really fun. But he was our first attorney, so whenever we would have grief from the higher ups, Terry was the guy who we would always go to. Mm-hmm. Terry was our guy,
Yeah.
and he was right across the street in the bank building. That was why, and somebody knew him, and you know, I mean,
Was Scott's store still there when you guys were down at the second iteration?
no, I don't remember Scott's.
On the corner? Oh, God, that was
We
a
had
great
LaRue's
store.
Jewelry.
Sure.
Got a
LaRue's.
question. Was the poison apple still in business in Sterling at that time?
Yes, the Poison Apple was variable. Sterling's first disco with the lighted dance floor.
Yep.
And Dynamite Tunes. It was pretty cutting edge. Founder owned the building. Old Doc
Yeah,
Founder
Dr.
owned the building.
Fonder, sure.
Owned the building. And
Jim and I were the same age.
really? Okay.
Yep.
And he, God, I can't think of the guy's name, but a good business operator. And he saw it and went to the bank on it.
Had Gazzardo's card store right down near Paradox, right there with Gazzardo's.
Yeah. Across the street was Sullivan's.
Sure.
And at that time, stores were open every Monday night.
Yeah, I remember going downtown. We always went downtown.
Oh, my father would go downtown Dixon and park the car and just let people walk by. It was like the show on Friday night in Dixon and Monday night in Sterling. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We went downtown all the time when it was
Went to
open.
Sullivan's and bought
open to
your
8.
Levi's?
And went to Bachman's and bought my hush puppies.
Correct. And there was another older men's clothing store further down.
Ted's Haberdashery.
No, Ted's was where the old miscellaneous paraphernalia was.
Exactly.
That's where going back to. No, further down on my way, going back east, Shelley Marks, his dad had a clothing store and catered to work duds. I mean, he had the heavy duty jeans for the welders at the mill, had the steel toe boots. I mean, and yeah, but
That was Bender and Block across from when you went into the old Green Lantern. Was Bender and Block still across from there? On the corner?
that it was just all starting to get torn out of there.
Yeah.
Because my
Just you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know how far you go back, Jay, but just about that was all starting to get torn back out of there.
Yeah.
okay, because I remember Bender and when my grandma, we'd go to the Bender and Block was across the street, and then my dad's friend Oris Peterson had a sporting goods store
Right.
across from there.
You're right. There was a sporting goods store there.
Right, and that was
Who was that?
Oris Peterson. He lived on Woodlawn Road, and him and my dad were best friends. And I can remember we got our dog, and this is the house I was born and raised in. So we got our first dog. We bought it from Mills's Auto Body. That was in
Oh, yeah,
Rock
yeah.
Falls. Owen Mills. They had wired hair terriers. So we got a wired hair terrier from them, and we had to get a bed. And I remember my dad giving me $1 and my brother $1, and we went into Pete's store, and Pete knew who we were because he was friends with my dad. And he goes, "What are you here for?" And we go, "We need a dog bed." And he goes, "Well, pick one out." And so we picked this freaking really nice, and I know it was more than $2, but we gave Pete $2, and he goes, "Okay, there you go." And we walked out. We were happier than shit walking out with that dog
you had
bed.
something.
But it was all dark in there. And I remember there was always a couch in there that people would sit and bullshit around and stuff. But years ago, Bernie, in my dad's flower shop, I don't know, I got information about, like professional football players coming in there. So I asked my cousin who has passed away.
I
asked
don't
my
know.
cousin John, John Moore, who passed away.
The machine cop.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. A few years ago, about it, and I said, there was an article that said keep on running Trippy, and John goes, "Oh, that was he was a running back from Georgia, University of Georgia, and he went into the service and then came out and then signed on to the Chicago Bears." And Irv Trattin, who lived in the little house next to where this house wasn't at, when I mean, Irv's older. He's a little older than you, but he would say that, "I don't know how the hell your dad got all these professional football players that would come into his flower shop all the time. Us kids would leave the school and go down there because they'd always
Hang
be
out.
there."
Huh, I
And
wonder
he
what
was
that
saying
Yeah, I
names,
never heard
and
that
so and so I asked my cousin. I go, "So what's the deal?" And he goes, "Well, your dad was a big Chicago Fire, before they were the Bears." He says your dad was he just loved that football
fan
team.
and-
then when they switched to the Chicago Bears, he just said, "The hell with you," and became the best team, the Green Bay Packers.
Is that what that says?
Yes. See, you're getting old. That's what happens when you're 10 years older than me.
Couple comments, questions. Dennis Coombs asks, what happened to the guy in the chimney?
There you go.
See, we hadn't gotten there. I want to thank Denny for that question. A lot of people that don't know about that.
So what's this story?
Well, the story was I couldn't, to me, it was just a part of my life. I couldn't tell you. I have some days. You could ask my wife right now how long we've been married, and she couldn't tell you. Okay, I mean, I just don't.
We get a car, we wait for a card, and then we both know.
Yeah, and we'll go next episode. We'll have to get into cards. I got a great story on Christmas cards.
Okay.
But anyway, there was a gift shop, nice little kind of a ladies' trinky giffy shop. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Can I have another beer?
so it was real interesting because they didn't like us. Okay, they just didn't like us for what we were and how we were.
Which store was this?
This was the shop west.
Oh, which store was this? Paradox?
Oh yeah, we're all both Paradox, but we were in the big store.
Okay.
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 We were in the big store.
Okay.
The small store, big store.
Okay.
We were in the big store, and the lady had a gift shop, and on the other side of us was the old Hart Jewelry Store.
Sure. I know exactly what you're talking
Okay,
about.
Okay. Well, if you go in, I had to explain to Frank, if you went in, our store was maybe as wide as this entranceway to your house and went back 50 feet, and then made a big T another 50 feet wide and went to the alley.
Sure.
and went to the other side. Okay, so we're there, and I have to take time out. Could I have more ice?
I got it. Is that you want more than
Oh,
that?
more ice. We need more ice.
All right.
The key to a good drink is hot to the top.
Wow.
The key is a bottle opener.
That's nice to have. That's it. And next to it was our so, and we burned this. I didn't use those clothes. Didn't need to. Between Bud's patchouli oil and her lemon oil and my strawberry incense. I mean, we literally, it was like going to a cigar fest. You had to leave your clothes outside. My wife wouldn't let me. Thank you.
Welcome.
And do it that way. And go, and so we had the stink, you know? And I smelled it, and the lady at the store, next door at the flower shop, she thought it was our fault. And the guy at the jewelry store couldn't figure it out. But I mean, the 3 buildings stunk. The city came, everybody looked, okay? Everything was fine and dandy till we all turned our furnaces on in November. The guy at the jewelry store's furnace wouldn't work. Called the heating guy, couldn't figure it out. Went up and checked the plug. And here was a guy who was trying to rob the jewelry store, got stuck in the chimney about 4 months before that.
Yep.
Oh, you're shitting me.
No.
Oh,
No. Unbelievable. Oh, yeah. It was all that bad. It was all that bad. And of course, we didn't pay attention to it because we had patchouli and lemon and mango and, godsend and violet. And all
they're
these other
saying like,
essence.
whiff that over this way.
Yeah,
It smells better than what we're smelling.
Yeah, I mean, between everything, between all the smell in the store.
So did they know who it was?
I think they eventually identified it, yeah. But he was trying to rob the jewelry store and was going to go down their chimney and then break through the chimney and get in the jewelry store and pop everybody, or, take the jewelry.
Uh-huh.
But that's how bad it was that 3 stores down,
Holy sh...
the lady caught the scent. And nobody would have guessed, who would have thought, right? Who knew?
Right.
New band, who knew?
Well, they blamed you.
Oh, put me on the cross. And everybody else that walked in. Until they found, Mr. Smoke.
He was lit up, all right, wasn't he?
Well, what are you going to do? It's not like, the guy's furnace doesn't work. There's got to be a problem somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And so this was maybe like in May, and he turned the furnace on in November. Oh, it was foul. It was foul.
So was his name Blunt?
Yeah, I bet he looked like one. He was all narrow at one end and real puffy at the top.
Well, that's a great. Did you say you had another question too, Lisa?
Oh, I don't know. I was busy doing the barmaid thing, so
Well,
I don't know
you
what's
know.
going on.
You guys remember Fiesta?
Carol Spencer says Bradley's men's store was across from Grebner's shoe store, and there used to be a smoke shop next to Grebner's.
Yeah, it's called the Smoke Ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Joe Pisty says dog named Becky. What does that mean?
was our dog. That exactly the dog that I bought from Mills is Becky.
Okay.
He knew
okay.
that. She's buried under
You
that
guys
tree.
remember Fiesta? Fiesta in the 70s was huge.
Fiesta.
Fiesta Day, Fiesta Parade.
Yes. Oh, hell yes. Oh yeah, huge.
Queens and floats and everything.
Sure.
I'm supposed to ask you if he remembers Don Lee music. Thank you.
Sure. Yes.
Oh yeah, Don Lee was the big guy.
Yep.
You know what? It may have been.
Drum sets.
It may have been Don Lee that was
You could
across
go
from the
and-
Green
and
Lantern.
He had violins, he had flutes. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
he
had
was
everything.
complete. He just didn't have basses and leads and thumpers.
Yeah.
No, Don Lee was big.
Oh, Chimney Guy question, was he upside down from Dennis Coombs?
What?
Teresa.
Was the chimney guy upside down?
Yeah, there's a
Oh, God,
delay,
they're,
so
they're paying attention to this. That's too bad.
And they're scarred
Teresa,
now.
I really don't
so
remember,
thanks.
dear. I really don't. That's a good question. Well, Teresa, if you don't mind, can you see me now? Can she see me right now, face to face?
stick your head down. You're like, there you go. Look into the camera. There you are, Bernie. You got it.
How's this? Is this better? I have to be comfortable.
There you go.
Teresa, I'm going to let them know that you were my very first employee at the Moosehead, and
You're shitting me.
and that you and I go back longer than Jesus Christ. Love you.
Nice.
So anyway, yeah, that's how to know Teresa. I couldn't answer. I don't know if they found him upside down or not. That's a good question, though. I wonder.
Well, he
bet
was
they found him
preserved.
I think
dead.
I had enough of a mental image, and I didn't really need that extra little
and
push.
we never hung around to watch him dig them out.
Oh.
Right.
I wasn't there for that.
Well, I'm sure it came out in pieces.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm
But anyway,
picturing a crane. I'm seeing a crane in my head. Go ahead.
I'm seeing a crane.
And a pry bar.
I'm thinking
God.
pry bar and chainsaw.
Oh, just the
oh,
arm.
like Animal
Try
House
again,
when the
Bob. We just
horse
got
that
the
was
arm.
dead.
I'm thinking chainsaw and Animal House. They're gonna take a piece, stretch him out, cut it, and drag him out.
Okay.
Or what if they meant it the other way? What if they pulled him all the way through?
Oh,
By that time, he might have shrunk.
Oh my goodness.
This was an actual
You think he
discussion.
did?
This was an actual discussion that had to have taken place. How the hell do we get this asshole out?
Oh, you know it was. Yeah, you know it was.
Yeah.
oh my God. I can remember back over here, Bernie, when we lived, you know, the metal buildings that are along the road over here. Box Distributing used to be there.
Oh, you're right.
And growing up as a kid, Al and Al Sr. were there. And we were in high school, and we'd walk down that alley, and I'm talking Al Sr. would be sitting outside.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
we'd
yeah.
always talk to him and go, hey, how's it going? He goes, good, boys. He goes, here. He goes, I'm going to give you this. And he goes, and then you guys leave. And it'd be a broken like 6-pack or whatever, or like there'd be 4 beers, and he'd give it to us and we'd leave. Well, down about, let me see, Russ still, the original neighbors in this neighborhood, Russ still lives there, Kraus. And then next to them is Bittner's. And when I was probably about
Bittner's, yeah.
7 or 8 years old, they moved that trailer in, and we watched them move the trailer in. Well, Bittner's were living there, and Bob and Ann had Tim, Tom, Troy, Ty, and Tricia. And Tom, you'll see downtown Sterling watering hanging baskets. But anyway, they robbed Vox Distributing one night, and they kicked the panel out of the garage door, and they were throwing
Them underneath.
the cases of liquor out. And Bob was a veteran of the Army, and he came outside with his .45 automatic and unloaded it in the air. And these guys are running, you know, they're flying out of that fucking hole as fast as they can
Yeah,
and
need
running
beer.
down the alley and stuff like that. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff that happened in this neighborhood. There used to be, Jim Crownhart used to have a,
Oh, yeah. The toe and
the Standard Oil was there and Gulf Oil was there. Jim had Diamond Jim.
Diamond Jim.
He'd have a rail. Can you imagine growing up being a 10-year-old kid and walking at the end of your block and seeing a dragster?
Jet dragster.
Yeah. Well, no, not at that time.
That
It
wasn't
was just
just that,
it was called a rail.
Oh, yeah. Man, he was running gas then.
Yes.
Fueling.
And then across the street you had Standard Oil, which Alexander's owned, and they had a Corvette that was called the Toad. That was
I remember that.
they
That's
raced
right.
that they raced at the drag strip.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
can you
yeah.
imagine your kid driving down there and they firing those things
Oh,
up?
flames coming.
Oh shit, we were freaking like in seventh heaven. And then
Outstanding.
Lisa and I went to a thing. Oops,
Yeah,
knocked it
I can
off.
hear that.
Went to a dinner out at Rock River Golf and Pool, and Denny, God, what was his name? Denny. Anyway, he had a Corvette, and when he'd fire that up,
10-point question. Danny, I know what you mean.
Denny, what was his
10-point
last name?
question.
That was his last name.
Don't call me at 2 in the morning when you remember.
Anyway,
Right, exactly.
he'd fire that up. We get on our bikes because he'd be test driving that Corvette down Woodlawn Road, and we'd go down there, and you know, us kids would just be thrilled watching him drive that Corvette down Woodlawn Road. God, what was his name? Denny. Mike King brought him to a dinner with us, and as soon as he said his name, I go.
Proud of you, Jay.
Not at all.
As soon as he said his name, I go, you used to drive the Corvette down Woodlawn Road, and he started smiling real big, and I said, yep, he did.
Yeah.
God, what was his name? Wasn't Denny Little. Was Denny,
I want to say Denny, whose dad was a doctor and lived on the river in Rock Falls, and his brother ran the stereo store down the street from us. Remember the high-end stereo store in Sterling? Next to the old LaRue's jewelry store, where Michelle has the smoke restaurant.
oh, Hi-Fi? Midwest Hi-Fi?
Midwest Hi-Fi. Dan
Yeah,
Ryder.
Fran,
Oh, okay.
Fran.
Dan Ryder. Dan Ryder's brother, I think, owned that vet. And Dan Ryder's old man was the
Fran that used to work, when the mall opened up out here,
I'll get back to you here in a minute.
when the mall opened up out here, we went to a red carpet stereo. And the guy that used to work on fix your stereos was Fran. Well, he left there and he started Midwest Hi-Fi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fran, and I can't remember. I don't know if he's still around. I don't even know his last name.
Yeah.
Fran. I just remember his first name, Fran. Well, Bernie, can you imagine me being in high school and going down there and going into their sound room, and I said we'd put on Aerosmith's like Toys in the Attic, or we'd put on
Journey?
no, I'd put on Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon,
Okay.
and we'd crank that shit up. We lived out there, and Joe Pisty, who's on here watching us, started working there. Well, Brad Davis, I don't know if you know him. He's not quite as old as you. He's a little older than me, but he was working there, and Wayne Wright,
And
Wayne owned it. But we'd hang out there, and I can remember him going like, hey, you think you guys could help us rearrange this store? You know, they'd have to move displays around and stuff like that. So I'd call my mom, you know, here at the house. And I go, hey, we're going to work. You know, they're closing at 9. We're going to work down here. We'll be here till 11 o'clock. You know what they paid me in? Now, a high school kid. You know what they paid me in? Albums.
There you go. And what more did you want?
Oh my God, Bernie. I was
was
in
it. That was
7th
better.
heaven. And I can remember him going like, you got 15 seconds to pick out many albums as you can. And so, you know, we'd go through. And so I would get used to this. So before we would work, I would go and I'd like put like 20
Jethro
albums.
Tull, whatever you
Well,
got a list,
I'd
yeah.
put
he'd set
20.
them aside. He'd like move them out.
I'd put
So-
20 albums
Yeah,
in one thing,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
can remember. I remember Brad going like, "You can pick out as many albums in 10 seconds," and I went like this, and he goes, "Don't ever do that again." I had like 30 albums there, you know, because I had them all set because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
knew
you
what
knew
he
what
was
you
going
were
to
gonna
do,
get. Yeah,
and
good
that.
job.
But oh my God,
That
I
was
was
a
in
plan.
heaven. I was in absolutely heaven.
Yeah, that was a good plan. That was a real good plan.
Hey, Brian Eade said a little bit ago, so I don't know where in the conversation it went. Not too far from your house, Bud, was the Illinois Bell Telephone Garage where my dad worked for 35 years. We used to hang out there by the dumpster and wait and look through all the good stuff.
I did
Oh, wait.
all the time, and you know what?
One of my fans just told me my zipper was done, so I got to check. Excuse me.
Here, let me get a close-up of that.
Right.
Anyway, Brian, let me tell you a story about the Bell telephone thing. We used to go down there every day about 3:30 after Dark Shadows. Remember Dark Shadows, Bernie?
No.
Oh, Dark Shadows,
Shadows,
was like
the
a
soap opera that was
soap
a
opera
regular
that was
soap
on.
opera that
Quentin's
turned it
theme. Barnabas Collins was a vampire.
Right.
Okay,
What was that again?
Dark
Shadows.
Dark Shadows.
So we'd go down there after Dark Shadows because all the guys would be coming in from their day's work, you know, coming in around 4 o'clock from their, day's work, and they'd be throwing out all this stuff. Well, there'd be chunks of wire that was copper,
Oh yeah.
and we would catch it all. And the driveway was gravel at the time, and I'd bring it home and we'd throw it in a
Burn it
pile.
down.
And my dad would light a fire and we'd burn it down. And I can remember one summer, my brother and I making $80,
Yeah.
you know, like for the copper
Yeah,
wire,
all the
taking it
scrap.
to the scrap and that.
Yeah.
But we'd go down there, and most of those guys were all like, I know Raymond, and I think his name was John, and there's a Brumley was another one. They were all Vietnam vets. I mean, these guys were all in the service and did that
Yeah.
stuff. And I can remember my mom going like, she would know we'd go down there, and my mom goes, our telephone's broke. And I can remember going to Raymond. I go, Mom said the telephone's broke. He goes, all right, you gonna be down here tomorrow? He goes, yep. I go, all right. And Raymond come up in his
Yeah.
vehicle and he go, "Phoom," and he goes, take that and go home. So, and it was a brand new fucking phone, you know, all we had to do was plug it
Plug
in.
it in. Yeah.
You know,
and, that
and
was,
stuff.
and that was big back then.
Yeah, and so, you know,
That was
Mom
big.
goes, oh, you know, and we thanked Raymond for doing that, stuff like that. But the story goes, one time, I don't know what we were doing, and it was me and the Bittner boys. I don't know what we were doing, but it
But
had
not good.
No, it was not, Bernie.
Okay, just
it was.
define that.
It was really bad because
Oh boy.
it
We think,
involved.
hey, really?
It
Really
involved.
bad?
We'll find out.
It
Yeah.
involved
Yeah, we'll
something.
find
It
out.
involved something with matches, and we lit the fucking dumpster on fire. And the front of it was wood, and they called the fire department. We left and went to Emerald Hill swimming to get out of the fucking harm's way, and that. And I remember going back down there and.
He
and
dreamt up an alibi, like,
Oh, instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
Not
were
me.
at-
I wasn't there.
I wasn't there. I was
wasn't there.
swimming.
I'll never forget that. I was so scared that we were going to be in trouble because we lit that dumpster on fire, and because it was all cardboard and paper and stuff. I mean, it lit instantly.
Gone. Yeah. Yeah.
It was like out of hand and like, oh my God, we got to get out of here. And we rode our bikes away.
Now, what would you say this is here, Lisa?
Yeah.
What would you call this?
What do you mean?
Full.
What?
Well, huh?
What do you?
Full.
Well, I mean, you know, you
Full.
you drink. good liquor. And when you have a good drink, what do you call it?
I don't know.
You don't have a name for your drink? Do you haven't? I mean, you come home and say, "I'll have a Linda Special or a Sorrento,"
Like a
or-
nickname for your drink.
Oh, a nickname for my drink.
what
The
do you call
good
it?
stuff.
The good stuff.
The good
okay.
stuff.
There we
Yeah,
go.
Yeah, no, what do you call it? The good stuff.
The good stuff. I need a good stuff. Yeah, that's what I call it.
So yeah, business was good. It was a great time of the year. Vietnam War was going on. Feel sorry for that. I lost friends in that conflict, but no, Sterling was very good to me. Sterling was very good to me. I would,
What was the biggest percentage-wise, just probably either anecdotally or based on the numbers at the time? What was the thing that got people in the door the most?
the records,
It was the record,
and then the paraphernalia,
right?
and then it probably
So to your point earlier,
Yeah.
that the draw that didn't really make you a lot of money
Right.
was the draw that actually made you
Right.
the
the most money,
The most.
and it was the biggest asset base in the store. I mean, when you would walk in, and how big was our record department?
Initially, not terribly big.
Yeah, but I mean, and when you look at it back now, how big was the department that carried all that vinyl? How big, I mean, that was a pretty good.
That was
encompassed a pretty good size.
pretty
square
good
footage
size, yeah.
Of the whole store.
Yeah.
So to dedicate that to something that didn't make you money, the smaller departments had to pick that up,
Right.
and that's what it was.
Right.
What's really interesting is, Jay, is I was at a wedding, and a lady, I'm at a table, of guests, and it was at the old store, and she said, "Oh, I used to come in here and this and that," and she pulled a gold chain from around her neck out, and she said, "This is an 18-karat gold chain, 18-karat gold chain I bought from you."
Oh my.
And that was, I bought from you 35 years ago. And I wear the chain, and I just put a different pendant on it.
Isn't that cool?
Isn't that
cool?
And that's what made it worthwhile. You look back, and we did crazy things. We had concerts, and we sold weird items, and we were probably the first people in this part of the country that sold halter tops for girls. Everybody wanted to wear a halter top.
Right.
Mini skirts? Did you sell them?
No, we didn't. We what was really fun was we would go to New York and we would buy bales of used jeans. We would buy bales of leather jackets from recyclers down on Canal Street in New York. And bales. I mean, a bale would be a bale.
Sure. Yeah.
Just a bale. And you didn't know what you were buying, but you bought a bale. And throw it in the U-Haul and drive it back from New York City and pull it in the alley of the store and clip that bale open and what do we have? Mm-hmm. Well, hell, now I got to go get 50 coat hooks or coat hangers because now I'm in the leather coat business.
Right.
And some of them you couldn't sell. But there were some in there that you did. And well, who would want to, you didn't wear a new leather coat. You wanted the used cool coat.
Sure. Yeah. That isn't that funny because that's kind of a trend that has it's moved from item to item and clothing item to clothing item, but that trend seems to always be there. I don't
Unbelievable.
want it new.
No,
I want it to be. I want it to look distressed.
Now it's called distress.
Distress.
Or ripped
You know,
jeans,
like-
you got holes in them and
Oh
stuff
my
like
God! And we would, and you would buy a bale and get all Levi's,
Uh-huh.
and it was like a gold mine.
Yeah.
Like a gold mine, and you bought it by the weight. We would, we made incense. We didn't make the incense. We would buy the puck, that's the stick.
Sure.
Yep.
Unscented. Everybody else would light fireworks with it. Well, we would buy the puck, and you'd buy it by the kilo, drums of it. Okay, and then we would have a little factory in the basement. You want to know what went on in the basement? We had a little factory in the basement, and we would have all 59 of your favorite scents. And you'd take a handful of incense like that, and you'd dip it in there, and you'd hold it to the count of 30 and take it out. And you'd lay it on a big table with plastic on it, and we had labels and plastic sleeves and like that, and we'd send them to your store in Clinton, Iowa. We'd send them to your store in Des Moines. We'd,
So you were more a
Northern Illinois.
wholesaler of it?
Oh yeah, we would manufacture stuff. I was gonna bring you one for a souvenir, bud, and I'll have to get you one.
Oh,
We made the first beer wrap. If you can find one of my original beer wraps, Marcus has got one, Sisson's got one, a couple other ones. We would buy styrofoam, sheets of it as big as your deck again, and lay it down on boards and cut it into about this long and about this wide, and put Velcro on it, and that was the first beer wrap. You could take it and wrap it around your glass, you could wrap it around your beer, all of them would go out the bottom of it, and it was the first cool wrap. You could put it on your belt buckle, you could put it on your cooler handle, whatever. Well, that was a great idea.
So you invented the koozie. Come on, you invented it.
Well,
Come on.
Okay, Jay, I admit it.
In Sterling. he
In
did.
Sterling, not in Sterling. Thank you, bud. But the thing was, you would.
I don't
You'd have-
remember
You'd
any
have
of this
Harley
shit.
Davidson. We did all premium things. I'll tell you about the baseball teams we sponsored. We had, and you would do Harley Davidson. You would do Budweiser. You would do Yamaha and Honda. Well, this was back in the 70s before there was ever any licensing problem.
Right.
Did the colleges. So if you had a store in Iowa City, maybe you had a couple co-op tapes and record stores, we'd send one of our guys out there, and we'd have one made with Iowa City on it, Iowa State on it, the flag of Iowa, whatever. And we'd walk into your store and you say, well, here's 50 of each of these. You can have them for this much money. Do you want them? And the guy says, was this all you got? Because he's what he wanted. Oh, Levon. Did y'all know Levon Cheney?
Yeah.
Levon.
The motorcycle guy?
Honda.
Yeah, yes. Oh, yes.
He was our Northern Illinois distributor. He sold all the other Honda dealers.
Oh.
Until you get that letter that says cease and
Send
desist.
desist.
Sure,
I
yeah.
was gonna say.
You've gotten one of those?
No, but I know exactly
have.
what you're talking about.
You have, so Jay.
After
Jay knows
X
what I'm
amount
talking
of
about.
dollars.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, back in my days, it was Wild West. You know? So who gave a shit?
Well, I remember buying a T-shirt that had the Rolling Stone lip logo
Right.
on it. It wasn't.
Bootleg.
It was bootleg.
Yeah.
It was not the official.
And remember bootleg records.
Sure.
Did you buy bootleg records? Came
Oh.
in the white plastic.
All the time.
Yeah, yeah.
All
And
the
those now would be as much as the Beatles' White Album or anything. If you had an old
Sure.
bootleg of The Who, live
Right.
at Carnegie or something like
Yep.
that.
Now,
Yeah.
Cheney.
An old Woodstock or Richie Havens, bootleg Richie Havens.
Yeah.
Money, part of
Yeah.
your retirement plan.
Yeah.
Cheney's motorcycle shop. You remember where that was at?
Oh, sure.
Out by Speedboat Park.
Yeah. Oh, no, that was the original.
That no, and the reason I'm saying that is Lisa's dad, when I was a kid, and Lisa's dad lived right across the street.
Uh-huh.
He had a Harley Davidson, and he took it to Cheney's, and
Levon.
him and Cheney modified this, and at White Pines, the hill climb.
Oh, sure.
He was the first person to drive his Harley Davidson up
Who
over
was
that
that?
hill.
What was his name?
John Higby. He was the first person to ride the Harley up over the hill at
White Pines.
in White
That's a
Pines.
vicious hill.
And that.
This, just want to throw this out for all you older listeners. This was the 50th year for the Who Else Pig Roast.
Yep.
So
I had some friends go and they asked me, and I'd say, not this year.
I wanted to go.
I opened for Rare Earth there.
Really?
Yep.
You opened for Rare Earth at the Who Else Pig Roast. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna. It was the 50th, and there's still some of the survivors that first year. They're there. They live around the country now, and if more of them would have come back, I probably would have showed for that. I was never a member. I was a social member.
Sure.
You know, I'd support the tickets, and we'd go to, you know, the TTs in Peoria, and we'd go to the hill climbs. You know, there was always a group that went, and me and my little 450 Honda. You know.
Lisa's dad would open that. If I would go over to Lisa's grandma's house, and she nicknamed me, my real name's Jan, but she nicknamed me Buddy, and that's where my
Your
name.
real name is Jan?
Yep,
If I looked in the phone book, it'd be Jan.
yep. And I'm not in the phone.
No, I know, but I mean, if you look,
But
that's,
yes,
that's
yes,
yeah,
right.
it'd be Jan.
But anyway, her grandma's the one that nicknamed me Buddy. But anyway, if I would go over to the
That's a good
house,
story.
if I would go over to the house and bother Lisa's dad too much, all he had to do was start that fucking Harley up, and I would run over here, because that scared the living shit out of me.
Really?
But her dad would come home at night, and he'd wind that up at the end of the block, and then shut it, and then basically coast into the driveway so it wasn't loud at the night. But that thing was just so loud, and I can remember in the garage, he always parked it off to the side in the garage, and all he had to do was start that up, and I was out of there. And her dad, and I can remember distinctly her babysitting us, and you know, that's what Mary did. She babysat us, and I'd always go, John was gone. Where did John go? Where did John go?
Really?
John
On
went to-
Harley.
No, John went to Vietnam. But her grandma would never say where John went.
When
John-
was that? What year was that?
1964 to 65.
And he came back.
Yep. He was at Townsend Air Base in the Air Force.
Okay. Okay.
But she would never say that. Well, no, John went over to the, that, it was like, well, I'm not saying that John went to Vietnam,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
not,
Wasn't good.
It wasn't a good thing to say.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's
And
good.
what was the feel at the Moosehead? I mean, that was in the '60s,
Oh, 70s. Well, in the 70s, that was the height of the draft.
right?
And I know people who did go to Canada
Right.
because that's where they fled. I mean, I knew people that went to Canada to beat the draft.
Right.
I used the student deferment, I was there was a group of us that we kind of controlled the student union at Sauk. This was in the old barn, the metal barn. This was before there was a real building.
Okay.
Right. Was that before '65 or was during?
No, it would have been 68, 67, 68. It was an old steel shed. But no, we were the euchre champions for the first year. I remember coming home and my parents saw nothing but DNFs on my report card from the Sauk Valley College. Did not finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So-
kick your butt and play in euchre.
So Bernie, did you go
These
to?
are life skills that matter a little more in the long run.
And I still play
Don't-
euchre.
So there you go.
And I still kick your butt.
Exactly.
So did you go to the barn?
Oh, the barn, Bud, was the most fabulous place in the world. And what about the Y Club?
Well, the barn is. I can remember my cousin. I don't know if you knew Craig Schweiss.
Shadows of Night.
But my cousin Craig Schweiss, I remember him going over to my aunt's house, and he'd be, I would have been probably 9 or 10, and him saying, "Well, I'm going to that," and I go, "Take me," and he goes, "No, you can't go. You're too young to go to the barn."
Oh,
You
in his mind.
but
Let's get some calls on the barn. It was the spot to be. We tried to do a concert there one time, and again they thought that we were going to have 10,000 people and we needed 100 porta potties. At that time they just, it was too much for them, because when we started to do productions, and that's why the one Charlie Daniels at Sauk Valley was that was the one that that was so funny, because we'd made a production company and we called it Buster Foyt. Buster Foyt Productions. And you probably don't remember, there was a comic book called Zap Comics,
Yep, I remember.
okay? And the Furry Freak Brothers and Mr. National and all that. Well, one of the characters in Zap Comics was a character called Buster Foyt.
That I don't remember.
He wore a top hat and like a tuxedo.
Okay.
And, we wanting to stay on the down low, well, what are we going to call this rock and roll company? And in our creative session, we would come up with Buster Foyt. So we had cards printed, stationery. I mean, the agencies in New York. I mean, who were we? They didn't know us from anywhere else. We were zipped
Sure.
in Sterling, Illinois. We could have been Michael Jackson for all they knew. And so Buster Foyt Productions, and it was amazing because, Sauk was new, big show, first time. Charlie went down to Georgia with the Devil. Great time, and everybody in that group that came with that band and whoever, I don't even remember who the whole show was. Charlie was the headliner, and there was other gigs too, and they all wanted to meet Buster. and of course, there was, at that time, everybody was drinking Johnny Walker. That was the brown liquor that everybody was drinking. And Charlie Daniels was a great man, and his cohort or his buddy, like my friend Frank here, was the guy by the name of John Sullivan. Great big. Well, this is great. When's Buster? Okay, well, we're working on another show, and Buster's out of town. So we kept pushing off Buster, So here we are 2 weeks after the Daniels show, and we get a letter from Charlie saying, well, listen, we're going to be coming through. We're on our way to Champaign or Madison or wherever, and we'd like to stop and have lunch, and is there a chance we can sit down with Buster? We'd like to work with him again. You guys did a great job. Well, we're screwed. Whoever wanted to see Buster Foyt,
Well, couldn't you be Buster
I was
Foyt?
going to say, you
Yeah,
get to-
why couldn't you be
you
Buster?
can't-
No, because we don't.
You can't bust open a bale and find a top hat and a top
Well,
coat and
exactly,
pretend to be
Buster
Buster?
Foyt. Yeah, that's good. No, no, because that whole group, that whole business group, knew who I was. And they knew
Oh,
who Bill
okay,
was.
yeah.
They knew our production company. They knew who we were. And,
Gotcha.
But Buster Foyt Productions. Well, where's the guy that's named it? Well, he's on a jet to Morocco. I don't know. Buster's busy.
Right.
But yeah, it was completely imaginary.
That's funnier than shit.
And the same way we came across the Paradox. I mean, we had another, session, thinking, And then we are going through the dictionary. What do we want to call it? Well, if you look in the dictionary and you look at the term of what paradox is something that seems to be this, but is really this.
Right.
That is the paradox of life. It is the paradox of. So and then we put the question mark behind it. And so that led to that name. I mean, we would come up with we would come up for names for oil and incense and everything. And we had a dictionary. We just go through the dictionary, you know. Well, of course, back then there wasn't an oil called transsexual. Now you can probably buy transsexual, you know. So you wonder what they're.
So Midwest or Record Revolutions was there,
pretty much right next to us, yeah.
right? And I can
And he had a
remember,
store in DeKalb.
right? And I can remember going in there
Yeah.
weekly, and I'd be going like, "Oh wow, these people brought these albums in that you bought," and I was buying records all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I can remember Kirk.
We would cash paychecks and we would give you back dollars on a paycheck because it was the old problem. Instead, you would come to us like you'd go to the bar. Some people
Sure.
would take the paycheck, go to the bar.
Sure,
And now there used to be a time when bars would do nothing but people would walk into a bar and there'd be nothing but paychecks on the bar buying drinks. And the bartender would just keep cashing checks and cashing checks. We were the same way. Same way.
And that's the way I used to do it North End. And I can, my grandfather was who was the first generation in horticulture, was in the first crew at National in 1902. I got a letter, and it was during the Depression era. I got a letter, well, it was before the Depression era. I got a letter that I took to them when they had their 100th anniversary that they gave a bonus. And it was saying about and my grandpa got a bonus, and I think it was in the 20s. I don't think it was Depression. It was before the Depression. In the 20s, it was $60.
And that
but
was
it's-
big money.
Well, big time. But anyway, they said this is your bonus, blah 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 blah. And at the end of the letter, it said, "We appreciate it if you don't cash this check in a saloon." It didn't say bar; it said saloon.
Yeah, no, that was tough in this community. The thing that saved this community is the Hispanic population. They are the strongest and the finest people in this community now and have been. Mr. Dillon paid everybody the same hourly wage. That's why we didn't have the problems that you have today. You could have been Hispanic and you made $20 operating that crane, the same as that Anglo did running the $20 crane.
Amen.
And so how that money went across the whole table. You might have been and brought up your family or bought a school bus or whatever. You might have maybe gone on vacation with your family to California for 2 weeks. But everybody had the same dollar. And that is what kept the community as prosperous as it did. Because you were one thing and you had the same crummy job at the mill, you didn't get paid $5 an hour less. You got paid as much as the guy right next to you did.
It didn't matter what you looked like.
No, none at all. So you took home, and whatever the paychecks were, you took home the same amount of money as the guy next to you did. Now, whether you wanted to spend it and send it to your family in Acapulco, or you wanted to go and buy a new pop-up camper. But everybody had the same dollar, and that's what kept the community in peace and harmony.
Right.
I believe that to this day.
Yep.
And the fact that there was money every day on the street. Every day of the street.
And it's too
Well,
bad.
there was-
And that's hard to find right now.
Ex-
It doesn't
you're
exist
exactly,
anymore.
you're
It doesn't
exactly
exist.
right. You're exactly
It
right.
doesn't exist.
Is there
Well,
any
there was
other
a-
questions, Lisa, or anything?
Well, there's comments.
Oh, let's hear some. Let's hear
One, oh boy, a lot of comments.
comments. Is that good or bad, Bob?
Oh, I'm
No,
sure
they're all good.
Take a drink.
it's got to be good.
I better have water.
Jan Johnson Miner says, Jim and I love your garden shows, but this show is great. So many memories.
Well, thank you.
Let me see here.
That's
Okay, Scott Seeley asks, who was the big guy in the record department? Turn me on to some great music.
Jeff was his name, and he was a pocket watch fanatic. He would buy, this was before eBay, and he would buy and sell pocket watches. He would travel around the country, and then we would send his pocket watches, and he would send, he could tell you, he could look at a watch and say, well, this is an 18 jewel Waltham. He'd pop the case, and he would fix the watches right at the record counter. But yeah, Big Jeff. I have no idea where Jeff is.
Wow.
Ann Sanders also worked for us.
Ann,
Ann Sanders was a great employee for us.
Ann was in my class.
Ann was?
Yes.
Yes. They had a great house on the river.
Yep.
She had a brother. Yeah.
Is it Dave?
I don't remember that.
He was younger than us.
It's BD, bud.
Right, exactly. There's only so much we're going to remember. I think we're doing very, very well.
Do you? So thank God I brought notes, huh, Jay?
I get
No,
back-
was it Ann? Was it
My
Ann or
notebook
was it
said
her sister?
No, Ann worked for us.
Because her sister worked out at Red Carpet Stereo.
That was her sister.
Yep.
And Ann was a big record person, big concert girl. Paul McCartney friend. I went to see Paul McCartney with her in a bunch.
She'd be 62. She's younger than you.
Okay. Remember, how many concerts do you think you saw in the 70s? Who were the top 5 you saw in the 70s?
Boston Journey,
Okay.
Wishbone Ash,
Ooh, good one.
Ooh, good one.
Good one. Yeah. We should have a little music in the background.
Cheap Trick.
Yeah,
do.
copyright. Then
Now- now,
everything we
now
would
get
be
this.
saying and doing would be muted right now.
We couldn't have a little Wishbone Ash?
Wishbone Ash you might get away with for a while, maybe.
Bernie.
Huh?
Cheap Trick.
Oh, yeah.
AC/DC.
Oh, boy.
Off Broadway.
I don't know.
I Could Be Good For You. Was that
Did you ever hear of a band called Lava? They're now out.
Love. Or I didn't see Love. It was Angel. Angel.
Angel.
They had
That big hair.
yeah, and they had the
That was area.
holograph things that they would appear in. I can remember seeing them.
Really?
Wishbone. I'll never forget Wishbone Ash.
Wishbone Ash was good. That's
Wishbone
that's out of the
Ash.
closet.
We
Yeah,
went up
that's-
to the Rockford
I should
Armory.
write that one down because I need that on the playlist. That's a good playlist.
We went up to the Rockford Armory, and I got
Sure.
tickets, and I got in there, and we went there, and Wishbone Ash was playing, and I mean, it was like a cloud of freaking marijuana. Everybody was smoking weed, and you know they didn't say anything, and all of a sudden these people came in and started busting all these people. I'm going like, what the, you know? I thought like, wait a minute, you let them all light up, and now you're coming in.
Going around down the aisles and
Yeah,
popping them
and
in.
I'm thinking like, what the hell? That
Well,
was
you get a
bullshit.
better seat out of that deal if you put your.
And I can't remember who I went with.
rather forward thinking on your part.
Well, I'm just, I'm a mover, I'm a shaker.
We got an Alicia Marie. I grew up in that shop with Bernie and my dad. Great memories. Hi, Bernie. Do you know who
Nice.
Alicia,
Alicia Marie is?
Marie?
I think.
Bernie, come on. Is that in your notes?
No.
Oh, my first concert, before I forget, RKO Orpheum Theater. Eric Carmen was the opening act after he went, right when he went solo from the Raspberries. And then the headliner was The Suite because Ballroom Blitz had just come out as a
Oh, okay.
It's a ballroom blitz. Remember down at the
Woot.
Coliseum? I can remember what was the name of the band. We couldn't get in because we were too young, and we stood outside. We had our bikes
Not
outside.
Power During the Raiders.
No. I saw them twice.
You remember them, Frank?
Yep.
Oh, come on.
No, I do.
Huh? You had to have been 2.
No.
Bernie, the first record I ever bought,
At the roller rink.
as a kid was Indian Reservation in 1970.
Really?
I can remember going to Turnstile Store. My dad was
Really?
giving liquor license out. My mom took me to Turnstile Store in Rock Island while my dad was going through these seminars, and I bought. I wished I had the pants. I can still remember the pants. They were blue jeans, and they were red, white, and blue, and they had peace signs like this all over them. And then I bought Indian Reservation when I was there. And I can remember going to Woodlawn Grade School, and I thought I was the thing. The
Cool.
freaking bell bottoms were this big,
Yeah.
and I had peace signs all over them. And I just wish I
You
still
were
had
cool.
those pants. Oh, I was in.
No, yeah.
I want to know, Lisa, what was the name of the liquor store across from the Angelos in Rock Falls? Let's shoot that out.
Wasn't T Hands. It was.
The liquor store across the street from Angelos in Rock Falls. Remember what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking
Huh?
about.
What was the name of that gig?
Well, let me tell you a story. Remember Uptown Liquors?
Oh, yeah.
We could go in there and John's House of Spirit and Uptown's Liquors, we could get booze all the time.
Yeah.
And I can remember riding around Nick Valdivia, Mike Schmidt. God, who else was with us? And those guys would all go in because I had the baby
They looked
face.
old.
Right, exactly.
Oh.
And I had the baby face. And they go, you're going to go in and you're going to get booze here. And it was on,
Persicos?
yes.
10-point
that's it.
question.
That's it. There it is.
10 points for Scott Seeley.
All right.
Up,
But
Joe
it-
Pisty, you're a little bit late. Scott Vril, you're late. Linda Sue Brown, you're all late.
But anyway.
Oh, they're all saying Persicos now.
Huh?
Right,
They're all saying
Well, that's a good
Persicos
question.
now. There's
Gotta
about
be
5
quick on
of
the
them.
buzzer.
That was a
Got to
good
be
one.
quick on the buzzer.
Ding,
Avenue
ding, ding,
G-
ding, ding. Scott
on
and
Avenue
Sealy.
G was Folds Liquor.
Folds, right.
So
Right.
they pulled up
Right on the
there.
other side of the bridge.
Yep.
On the
They
right-hand
pull-
side.
Yep. They pulled up there and they go, "You're fucking going in and buying booze." I go, "I ain't." They go, "You're going in. It's your turn." I said, So I went in there. I went in and I got like some beer and some stuff and I set up the thing, and the guy looked at me and he goes, "You're Red Lefever's boy, aren't you?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "You ain't old enough. Put that shit back and get out of here."
Get the
And I'm
straight-
like, so I walked outside and they go, "What's going on?" I go, "The fucking guy knew my dad." And he goes,
Yeah,
"And
yeah.
my dad had been dead. I mean, but he knew my dad.
knew
and he
who
goes,
you were.
And,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
knew
yeah,
who the hell I was. And he goes,
And
"You're
he,
on-"
and he could
so,
do math.
So then the next, where do we go? Nick's Tap on P-Town Road.
Oh well, yeah.
We
But, now,
pull-
but that was the second one.
Right.
The first one was closer to where Hank Bright was. Closer to.
Well, we went on P-Town Road off Avenue G.
Yeah, yeah,
And we
yeah.
pull in, and Nick Valdivia gets out. And he goes inside, and, all of a sudden he's got 2 freaking 12 packs, and he's running. And he gets in the car, and he goes, "Go, go, go!" And so they take off, and I'm going like, "What's going on?" Well, at one of our class reunions, I go, "Nick," I go, "What the hell happened at, freaking Nick's Tap when we went in there, and he goes, "Oh, the guy took my ID and he knew it was fake," and then he was calling me out, and he said, "So I just ran out with the beer." I'm like, "Holy shit, we didn't get arrested. We never got arrested." But
That's
and you
a good
didn't
one.
find that out until your class reunion.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I never
Yeah,
knew
yeah,
why.
Yeah, exactly, Jay.
And then remember Jerry, I don't know if you knew in Rock Falls, Jerry's restaurant, the fast food.
The hamburger joint.
The hamburger joint. We had Kevin Cheshire work there, and we'd be cruising around at night, and we'd go in there, and Kevin would be working, and the hamburgers would sit so long,
Oh.
they'd throw them away. So Kevin would be putting them all in these bags, and by the time we'd go
Pull
up
up
to
and get the whole bag of.
what we'd pull
yeah,
in,
yeah.
we'd pull in, and Kevin
Jerry
goes,
drives
he goes, "I'm off in 15 minutes," and he gives us a bag of like 20 hamburgers, and we're all fucked up.
Yeah, I think that's why I don't get E. coli anymore, because I eat that kind of stuff.
Right.
You get it.
Build up an immunity.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
I think,
Yeah.
or herd mentality, or herd mentality, herd immunity.
Herd immunity.
Right.
Hey, Alicia Marie clarified. She said, to clarify, Bernie, Alicia Marie Zeller. My middle name is after Bernie's mom. Lovely woman. Ringing a bell?
Nice.
Bernie, come on.
Oh yeah. I just Alicia Marie Zeller.
There you go.
Yeah.
I wonder
Well,
if it's
thanks
any,
for coming on board.
I wonder if it's any relation to Julie Zeller.
I don't know. Maybe she'll
No,
reply.
her dad was originally from Ashton, and we go back to the old days. I mean, way BD days, and so yeah. Oh well, that's nice. I'm glad she's on board tonight.
Well, that's cool. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
You know, Bud mentioned Wainwright and owning the record store, and decades later.
Well, Wayne didn't own the record store.
No, he didn't own it, but
No.
but you would think that he would years later, decades later, when I knew him as a barbershopper. I mean, I knew him my whole life, but as a barbershopper, I got
exactly.
with him, reacquainted with him, and got to hang around with him. Went over to he and Barb's house several times.
Yeah.
One time I went downstairs, and it pretty much looked like the record store, with the
Yeah.
bins and
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of albums,
Exactly. Yeah.
including 2 copies, one totally unopened, of the mid '80s reissues of every Beatle album on vinyl.
Oh my gosh.
I told him, I looked.
Where's
it up.
that? Where's that right now?
I'm pretty sure his brother has all of it now, but I
Yeah.
don't know that. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But I told Wayne, I said, "You know how much this is worth?" I mean, I looked it up and said, "This is, this is
It's got something.
something.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
got something.
we're
You're
we're into
exactly right.
we're into 4 figures here."
Yeah,
And
no,
he
it's
went,
got something.
"Well, I'd rather have it."
Yeah.
Now,
and of
I'll
course,
be-
vinyl's back.
No, it sells more than
Yeah.
digital the past 2 or 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Are you still an audiophile? Or are we close enough that I can ask you that?
Well, I follow it, and I know I listen to a lot of the music.
Yeah.
I listen to a ton of music. I very seldom watch TV. I listen to more music.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a great playlist, you know, and I carry an MP3 with me. It looks like this glass right here, and I carry it with me in my boat. I carry it with me in my car, you know.
So there isn't a room in your house somewhere that's filled with albums.
No, there's really not. Actually, now Bill, he would have a wall. I don't know. We had a very good friend who passed away, Derek Hunter. I don't know if you guys knew Derek. Derek was in my wedding.
Oh yes, Derek. I know
Oh,
who
Derek.
is.
Yeah.
Derek the DJ.
Derek was a DJ.
Derek the
Yes.
doctor.
Yeah, Derek the doctor.
Doctor.
Yeah, and Derek and I were real close. And he probably has one of the largest, well, I don't know how much is left. Derek has passed. And Sally, his wife, I think she's kind of thinned it out. But at one time, he had a wall,
Yeah.
more than a wall,
Yeah.
from ceiling to floor of vinyl. And I'd go over to Derek's house and we'd sit in the basement, and he still had a nice turntable and a good amp and a set of speakers. And we would go sit down in the basement, and you know, and we wouldn't even pay attention to time. It would be 3 or 4 hours, and his wife would come down and says, "What are you doing? You know, there's not that much Jerry Springer on TV, you know." And we're pulling them out. I would walk down this wall and, oh wow, I haven't heard, you know, and gee, this one, oh, I can't do that because it's not open, you know. But he would have,
Oh, yeah.
but he had a great collection because number one, he worked for us, you know, and we gave him everything to keep his business going for no expense, you know. So that's why he was a good DJ. But he kept all that vinyl. I mean, but I think it's thinned out. But no, the vinyl's still.
That's the
You
way-
have vinyl?
Oh, yeah.
Do you? Okay, yeah.
That's the way pizza was. I'd go out to his house, and Bernie, honest to God, I'd be working third shift, and on Friday nights I'd only sleep till 9:30 because I was off till Sunday night, and I'd go out to Pizza's house at like, I don't know, 6-7 o'clock at night, and we would sit and listen nonstop and drink beer and nonstop to records and talk about them. You know, albums
Forever.
till 5 in the morning.
Forever, I
Till
know
5 in
it.
the morning. What happened to
know.
that?
I know.
What happened to
exactly.
Arnie Taylor's playing full albums? You know,
Yeah.
I remember on WJVM they used to play. You know, you could listen to the whole album, and you would go like, "Wow, that's a really good album."
Exactly. And you
I'm
heard
gonna
the
go out
whole
and buy it
album.
You
for.
heard the whole
I'm gonna
album.
go out and buy.
That's exactly
Right.
You never heard the whole album.
And you'd go out and buy it for $2.99.
Oh yeah. That was the end of the line, and then about $9.99 was the top of the line. Yeah, $2.99 records, $3 $3.
I was introduced by Arnie on the Hill playing albums to all sorts of music that I would turn around. If he played an album, I remember specifically Return to Forever.
Oh yeah.
Chick Corea and his group. And he played it in its entirety,
And
then
that was all
then I
progressive.
went
I
out
mean,
and
that,
bought it.
now, I mean, then that's alternative. Back then, that was all alternative.
Right, fusion, jazz fusion.
Yeah, that
there
was
was
all
all.
alternative, yeah.
But I would. I worked with Arnie years later
Mm-hmm.
when JVM became WSSQ, and was out here. Well, still is, but out here on Freeport Road.
Yeah.
So I became Arnie's coworker years
Right,
later.
exactly. Yeah,
And
right.
he
That's how-
played-
I remember that. You were doing that.
Yeah, so he played a song, I think it was by the Dixie Dregs one night on WSDR
Yeah.
before Fun and Games or something. I don't remember what. And I walked in doing one last thing for the night into the studio, and he had this Dixie Dreg, Gina Lola Breakdown is the name of the song, instrumental by the Dixie Dregs. And he's spinning it on the turntable, and I go, "Man, Arnie, I remember you playing this I remember the first time I heard this, you played this album on the Hill." And I was, listening in my room when I was in like high school, and he said, "Go to hell, go straight to hell.
You're dead. You're dead to me.
You're dead to me
You're
now."
dead to me. Yeah, you're dead to me.
Talk to the hand.
No, but he was one of those people that
I can remember.
introduced you to not just, well,
Well, a big spectrum of stuff.
a big spectrum.
Well, it
And
wasn't
that's-
the only
and that was the key to our success. I was not the record guy. Bill was the record guy.
Right.
And I mean, you'd get billboards, and you'd look at this. Well, there was no alternative music like that. We would drive into Chicago to hear bands.
Right.
You'd go to the Aragon Ballroom, which was
Sure.
a boogie pit. And you'd see 4 bands. And that's what reminds me. This place in Belvedere reminds me of the Aragon. You walk in, and it's a boogie pit, and you see 5 bands for $15, and they play 5 songs each, and you have a good time. And so it was neat to see that coming back. But that's what it was. I mean, you'd go in, and then you try to find that music.
Sure, yeah.
You try to find that music, and fortunately, he was hip to it, and we had that, so you could come in and could be one of our customers.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, that was,
I can remember staying at home and listening to Arnie Taylor, and I'm going like, man, this is a really good and he'd play every song. It might not be the top, it wouldn't be the top hit song, but he'd play the whole album.
Exactly.
And I'd be going like, wow, this is really good.
So if you found
And
3 or 4 on the whole album.
Right, and
You
I'm
go
gonna
get it.
I'm
Come to
gonna
me
go out
and you come to me,
exactly.
go
I'd
back.
go out and
Yeah,
buy
exactly.
I'd go out and buy the album.
Yeah, you'd come back.
Well,
and
we were listening to the radio, specifically FM, at a very perfect time because FM radio was relatively new.
Oh, yeah,
and,
exactly,
And
exactly.
wasn't as commercial driven. They had their morning shows and their noon shows, and they had their, especially in a smaller market like this.
Yeah.
But a lot of the rest of the time, it wasn't like, oh my God, it's been 12 minutes, we haven't taken a commercial break. They didn't give a shit.
No. 'Cause
Oh,
you-
he'd
you
play the whole
live after,
freaking
whatever.
album. And you know what?
that's a good point.
I can distinctly
Yeah.
remember sitting at the
Yeah.
table here, and I had a little transistor radio, and I can remember my dad always saying early on, I can hear him now. We're not having any goddamn hippies in this house. You're going to get your hair cut, and he shaved my head every time. But anyway, I had the transistor radio, and I can remember going like, Dad, listen to this song. It is so great. And it was called Hitchin' a Ride
Oh,
by
yeah.
Vanity
Sail.
Fair.
Is that what it was?
Vanity
No,
Fair.
I thought it was Sail Queen, or Sail
It was-
Cat.
I would
Sail
say-
Cat. Sail Cat.
Really?
Hitching a Ride was Vanity
Do you have the
Fair.
research on
I'll
that
bet
one?
my paycheck on it.
What about the research on that one?
All right, let me look.
No,
Oh,
right here.
We don't have to look.
No. Yeah.
Hitching a Ride, one hit wonder, Vanity Fair, 1971.
Well, pick my nose.
We'll see who can come up with the answer here quick.
Any other good shout-outs we're getting, Lise?
Oh, let's see. What do we got?
You know?
Oh, they were talking about Nick's.
Is it?
Carol Spencer was talking about Nick's. Nick's used to be on Route 30 in Rock Falls. I
Yes.
remember being in Papa Nick's, and 2 guys got in a bad argument, and Papa Nick pulled out a gun and
Oh, yeah.
ordered them out of the bar.
You bet. By God, that was the place. Now, that was the first where you talked further out on 30. Papa Nick's was the original that she's talking about now. When you said you went out and bought liquor.
Yep.
At the-
Or tried.
Okay.
No. This was the one.
Oh,
on
yeah.
30. This is the one on
or
30.
Segura's.
Wrong
what
liquor
was,
buying
What was Segura's?
That was the place we're talking about.
Oh,
Closer. Yep.
Patty Segura's daughter was in our class. And we could always go out there and get freaking
Right.
booze all the time.
Couldn't you?
I mean, and I remember Kurt, was it Kurt Harper, worked at Uptown Liquors?
I don't know.
One of the Harpers worked at Uptown Liquors, and he fell out of the window, and it fucked him up really bad.
Correct. And you know where that he fell out of that window? Up in Wisconsin.
Anyway, he would
Terry
always,
Fritz, that was J&R. Does that?
Yeah, J&R. Yep.
Ding, ding,
You're-
ding, ding, ding.
Thank you for
Tommy gets 10 points.
Terry Fritz, you get 10 points.
drink a beer.
By God, long live the Queen.
God save the Queen.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
Joe Pisty wants to know if Papa Nick's was also known as the J&R.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
No?
2 separate bars.
2 separate
Papa
bars.
Nick's was where Bud would go and get served illegal liquor, and the J&R
Was where I'd go serve the illegal liquor too.
Well, J&R was closer.
on Route 30.
Correct. Closer to Rock Falls. Closer to 30 and 44, 80.
Yeah, or right. You're correct.
Yeah, that was the old
yeah.
J&R. Rock and roll hoochie coo. Yeah, did you?
I saw him play that song on the back of 2 hay racks pushed together, and at what was Parkside in Clinton.
Oh my God! Let's go to Clinton and have fun.
And I
Oh,
won the tickets at WJVM, and I went and picked them up and saw Rick Derringer play that rock and roll hoochie coo.
Yeah. Yeah. You asked about the barn. Who asked about the barn?
Me.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, somebody
Yeah.
said something about the barn way back when. Oh boy.
Was the barn going when you were around?
When I was little, I couldn't go.
Yeah,
I mean, nobody would take me.
I wouldn't know
Yeah.
enough to go to the barn.
Yeah.
I can remember
Oh,
my cousin going like, "You're not
Jan
going."
Johnson Minor says my husband's dad was a bouncer at the barn.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah. The barn was fun. The barn was out in the country.
Out at by Mary Lee Lakes, out
Right,
in
right
Lakeview.
on the lake, yeah.
Yep.
And I can't remember the gentleman who ran it. He did a great job, and they had food service downstairs, and the rock and roll boogie floor was in the hayloft. and the parking lot was packed every night.
Who do we know that has a poster from a concert at the barn?
Really?
There's
Yeah.
several people that I've
Yeah,
seen.
I've-
You've seen posters?
Yeah,
Barn
yeah.
posters?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you have a Shadows of Night poster? The Shadows of Night poster would be a good one. Shadow Night, the
Howard
barn
Jones.
would be a good one.
Howard Jones, he would mention like, "Oh, I saw them at the barn. I
Oh,
saw
yeah.
them at the barn,"
Endless.
and they were like popular bands. I mean, big time bands.
Oh, you probably seating capacity was for 100, and he had 8. I mean, you didn't care if you got in because the whole building you could hear it in the parking lot. And then the Y Club, which was the tavern just before you left town.
Right.
Okay, there was where the new intersection is. Or
Sure.
what I call the new intersection. There was a bar in the middle there called the Y Club,
Sure.
and that was the last watering hole. You'd load at the Y Club before then you crossed the desert and up the hill to the barn, and that's where you would get stocked.
And there'd be bands at the Y Club too, wouldn't there?
Debbie Huskenbell was
not
saying
our-
Leo Johnson ran it. Is that
not our-
ringing a
not our
bell?
kinda-
Leo Johnson.
Leo
Yeah,
Johnson.
ran the barn. Yeah, Leo did. Great man. Saw it, and
Let the
Maybe
young
Mannequin
kids
joint.
have a good time.
Scott Seeley said something, and I don't know what you guys were talking about. No Derringer played Oak Park in Clinton.
No, he
From-
played at Parkside in Clinton. I'll never forget. I won the tickets from WJVM. I went and picked them up.
Parkside was the hot bar in Clinton.
Right, and I remember the.
And then there were a couple on the river too. We'd go up and down.
Liberty was one.
Yeah, on the Illinois side, there was some, and we'd go down there Sunday. We'd go down there because they could rock and roll till like midnight. And remember back in those days, remember when Halloween was popular in the 70s? You would have a costume contest. Every tavern had a costume contest. Every place would have a costume contest, and people would get dressed up.
They still did that at Mr. P's when I was in the house band down there. Halloween
Okay.
was huge, yeah.
Yeah. That Halloween was big back in that time, and that was always fun. We made a big time out of that at the store. That was always a good time.
Jan Johnson Miners wants to know, did Paul Revere and the Raiders perform at the barn?
No, they performed at the Sterling Coliseum.
And they also performed at the black party that they had down where the Sterling Mill Clinic is that you do.
Right,
And
they
that-
did one time.
And I saw them there, and I saw them also on Rock Island, and they were freaking great.
Yeah.
That's the first album or first record I ever bought was Indian Reservation.
Scott
gonna
Seeley
tell
was
you-
saying Parkside was a disco. Oak Park had the concerts.
No, Parkside was not a disco that I remember.
Oh.
We were outside. I can remember
The other one, there were those two. You're right. There were two there.
There's Parkside and Clinton. Everybody
but
went
then there
there.
was the other one that she just mentioned too.
Oak Park.
Yeah.
In Clinton?
Yeah.
I went to Parkside.
Yeah, there were two over there.
Parkside was
Wasn't Parkside kind of out of town a little bit?
yes.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other one was more along the river, kind of down I haven't been to Clinton for a while, but down in the Clinton neighborhoods. Downtown.
Parkside, I remember everybody
Park.
went to Parkside because you could be 18 years old and drink.
And so you went to like 2.
Yes.
So you'd last call.
And then when you go across the bridge, the fucking cops would be sitting
Always
there,
there.
busting your ass.
When this is all over, I got a great story to tell you about that.
All right, well, no, you
Oh.
can tell it now.
No.
Well, Brian Eade, there's a couple of comments here, you're getting them going. In 1974, Cheap Trick played for the Sterling High School's prom, and in 1975, REO Speedwagon played at Emerald Hill Country Club,
Yep.
also for the post prom. And then Jan Johnson Miners said, I think Black Oak, Arkansas performed at the GNR.
Ooh, that I did not know.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But the
it
rest
wasn't
I
one of our
know,
shows.
yeah. The first album I bought from you, I think, was Uriah Heep's Demons and Wizards.
Oh my gosh.
I still have it.
Good
Kind
for you.
I know, right? Yeah. Have you ever been to Toad Hall in Rockford?
Oh, not probably. See, I used to have an office up there years ago,
Uh-huh.
and I've been to Toad for probably 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And he always had and he had all the good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He had
Multiple copies of the good stuff.
Yeah, he had good stuff. Yeah, Toad
Yeah.
Hall, and he's still rocking. I think he's still there.
Oh, he's still there. I'm going there Sunday to buy 1,200 albums for $200.
Yeah, no, he still does it. Yeah. I've got friends in Rockford, and I know that they do business with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done a good job over the years.
Oh yeah. Well, it's I would get copies of or the latest issues of, and this is recently because when I was hosting the All Record Show on WSDR
Yeah.
for several years, and people would I would end up with people's albums, I would say on the air, hey, don't throw your albums away, because people would.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Don't throw your albums away. Give them to me, or I'll buy them from you, or whatever. And who knows, you might hear it on the air.
Yeah. Right.
And ended up with, some pretty interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Pretty
yeah,
interesting
yeah.
stuff.
A little off the wall kind of stuff that nobody would have picked up on.
But
Oh
I
wow.
got the reel to reel
Oh
too.
my
yeah.
God, wasn't reel to reel great? You have a reel to reel?
I have a reel to reel, and
Oh my God.
I have copies of Elvis, Sinatra, Mancini, Herb Alpert, and the Tijuana Brass
you can put one of those reels on.
on reel.
You could put one of those reels on at 5 in the afternoon, and you didn't have to change it till 1.
Exactly.
and we'd have parties.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, and back in those days, this was when you had a teak reel to reel that was as big as your 48-inch TV.
Right. I just
I
found
remember.
one. I just found one on
You're
Market.
punching 250 amps a channel.
Right. I just found
All
one
day
on
long.
Marketplace for like $150.
Oh, good condition, a teak.
Yeah.
Oh, that's got to be a good nickel. I'd take that.
I know, right?
Yeah. I probably still have some reels laying around somewhere.
Yeah.
And who knows if they're good anymore.
Juma had all those.
But we had, oh yeah, the old reel to reels. Unbelievable. And you'd plug that in and play that record, hit the pause on that, put another record on, hit the start again, and you just play it and play it. And you had boxes. They were, whatever they were, 6 inches, 8 inches, I don't even remember what size they were. But you'd have,
Just a stack.
days. Of music.
Days of music
Days of
on a
music.
stack like
Wouldn't you,
that.
Jay? Yeah, you'd have days of music. You
You remember where Midwest Hi-Fi was, or Midwest Hi-Fi was, Record Revolutions, and there was another store. I can't remember. It was on Locust Street across. Midwest Hi-Fi was on 3rd. Record Revolutions was down farther, and then you went around the corner.
And that was Midwest Hi-Fi on Locust.
Okay.
Not Locust, but the street going to Rock Falls, the one way going to Rock Falls.
Yes, that's it.
That was where Midwest was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kirk Sadoff and I, he was in town, and he had, we brought all his albums back from Santa Rosa, California.
Oh,
And he
geez.
had about every single freaking Zappa album you could ever think of. So anyway, in this house, we were downstairs, and I had my turntable, and I had his cassette thing, and we recorded. I still have the cassettes.
You ever listen to Bella Fleck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bella Fleck plays the banjo like Frank Zappa plays the guitar. Mm-hmm. You ever seen Bella Fleck?
I've never seen it.
Oh my God! And last time I saw Bella was at Ravinia.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And if you get a chance, look him up. If you're a Zappa fan. Yeah.
I got Lumpy Gravy, and I got Rolling in
Yeah.
for the Money.
That's interesting because there's not a lot of people that know Bella.
But anyway, we went down to Midwest Hi-Fi to buy a bunch of cassettes so I could record. And we walked out of the store, and we were coming around on First Avenue, coming on 3rd Street, and the bank was there at the time. And all of a sudden, we heard some lady screaming at the corner. And
What
I
was her
finally I don't know what her name was, but I finally recognized what she's saying. He's got my purse.
Oh no.
So Kirk and I took off running after this guy that stole this lady's purse.
No.
Yes. And we went
Before
by,
street crime.
and we're running down the alley. We're running behind Eberly's store,
Yeah, in the corner.
chasing this guy, and Kirk's yelling, "Stop, motherfucker!" And I'm laughing like, this guy's gonna stop. And so he runs across and goes down behind the underground, where the underground
Yeah,
was at,
further, right,
and
yeah,
that,
keep going.
and behind Knees. And all of a sudden we lose him. And so we're standing there like this, and all of a sudden I look down at Knees' van, and I see these knees underneath the van. And
No.
I just went to Kirk, and I went like that. So we go into Knees and tell these guys what's going on, call the police. So they call the police and tell them we're the ones that stole the purse.
Ah.
So the police come, and they're all like, and I go, no, and I'm going like this, and they see the guy underneath the car, so they got all their guns pulled out, and this guy comes out from under the car, and they arrest him and handcuff him, and come to find out he just got out of the prison, and he was standing outside the bank like all dressed up, and when this lady came out, he took her purse. and took off running. We just happened to catch him. And I can remember the Sterling police coming here with a letter of recommendation. And they had me sign a thing too that said that, like, if I ever get in trouble, that I can't say like, well, I helped you out, you got to help me out, and stuff like that. But I remember all the people saying like, Kirk Sadoff did this, what he was on
The
that
hero.
side of law,
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just amazing in that, but it was just.
Hey,
kind of-
Lisa, see what we have on the, see what's coming up on the Sterling riots at Mississippi Park.
Oh, I remember those. We walked over there.
I got something about girls softball teams.
Oh my God, the Paradox All-Stars.
Yep. Kim
Really?
Kim Hayen says, I played for Paradox girls softball team, first place in girls league. So many wonderful memories, and girls
4
were
years.
awesome.
4
Partied,
years.
we did.
Really?
Unbelievable. Paradox All-Stars. We smoked them.
Well, no, the riots. I remember going over there and we had our bikes and they wouldn't let us into the park. And we're
Right.
sitting outside of Mississippi Park. There's cops freaking everywhere.
Right, the Mississippi riots.
Yeah.
The other things that's happened was, and which is really weird, Mount St. Helens,
Wow.
the volcano.
Yeah.
Remember that? That was
Yeah.
a big thing that happened in that period of time.
1980.
Also, the Ayatollah,
Yep.
Khomeini, the hostages.
Yep.
We had the Ferdinand Marcos. So there were political things that, I don't know, everybody was hungry for something. Came back from Vietnam War, everybody was pissed, whatever. So anything that's that age group at that time could connect with, they tried to attach with.
Well, I remember the Ayatollah. I mean, all that stuff was in like 78, 79,
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
the late 70s. Because when we were at,
I think Mount St. Helens was 74 or 76. Mount St. Helens, Mount 77.
we went by that,
I thought
remember?
it was 80.
I don't know.
I thought it was the late 70s.
Remember we went by that area?
Yeah.
It said that it was covered. When
We went
drove
to
by.
the museum.
You're right, Mount
Right,
St.
and you
Helens.
just had the crater and all
Yep.
that. Yeah, we had T-shirts made up for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, somebody made a comment. Did you have like iron-on T-shirts?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, somebody way back.
We were your full service
Yeah, Alicia Marie.
alternative store.
Favorite thing about Paradox was the iron-on T-shirts. So cool to this 80s kid. Chuck?
That
I don't
beer
remember that. I just remember that
That
glass
beer
case, the case in front. I walked in there and got my tickets, and then I was looking at, there was a case in front that had, pipes and all sorts of stuff,
Terms paraphernalia.
paraphernalia, that's right. Had all the paraphernalia there in front, and I was with my friends, and I was like, wow, this is all.
Pretty
It
cool.
was just like, yeah, we went to Paradox, man. We were hung out at the Paradox.
Yeah, yeah. You could almost put that whole thing together now, and in the right location would be a home run.
Probably would be.
Everything goes in a cycle, and
Sure.
the cycle now is, I would say, ready to boil. Yeah.
I agree.
I don't know what it would cost to put that together. I wouldn't have any clue, in today's dollars what it would be. But you could put that scene together, and I think you'd be very successful with it. I really do.
And you'd, at least in theory, depending on the community or what businesses you were nearby or any number of variables, probably be accepted
Oh, with no complaint.
far more
A lot more than what.
than.
Oh, no comparison.
than
Yeah,
what
there would be no resistance.
Yeah.
Now the communities would be glad to have your money.
Right.
There'd be no
Well, I mean,
resistance.
they're doing the gambling. What the hell's the difference?
Oh, I got.
Don't get us started, right? Don't get us started.
Yeah.
But
I like.
seriously,
I like when I walk in. I like to spend my money and then walk out with, know that I walked out with something.
It's just not
Like a Uriah Heep album.
Well, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just
Freebird.
It's just not my thing, I mean, it's not where I'm at. I don't know. What was funny was too, and of course you couldn't get by with it, was we sold very nice jewelry. And Ann would help pick us out jewelry. We'd go to Chicago, and Jan would go with us, and we'd pick out
Wow,
jewelry.
far out.
But every time you would buy a pair of gold earrings, we would pierce your ear, and it was Dr. Burney.
Ah.
So, and of course, there was none of this hyperallergenic and, allergic and none of that. You'd.
Light a match, put it on the end of the
No,
needle,
no,
and
no,
put
I
it
had a
in.
nice
It
needle.
wasn't medieval times.
I had a nice needle, big jar of alcohol, and you stick that needle in there like this, and she'd hold the ice cube like this, and somebody else would be wrapping up a pair of nice earrings, and well, how you doing, Mari? Bang! Next thing you know, she was walking out with a pair of earrings, and I mean, free piercing.
Right.
So of course, when the parents would come in, and they weren't real keen about that. Now, of course, you couldn't do that. That would be, you'd be in violation of the law. But no, we would do that. And that was always funny. And we would even and talk about waterbeds. We would let people take a waterbed home, and you could try it out.
Oh, wow.
Never had one come back.
Right.
Never had come back. And then if you would buy two, we would make the frame for you. And I don't know what your frame was like, but a frame was a 2x12 with L brackets on it. You sit on the floor. Well, when they exploded, when waterbeds exploded, you couldn't buy a 2x12 in any lumber yard within 25 miles because we set up a lumber bed frame factory. And we would go down to the Lawrence store, the Lawrence Hardware, and we would get the hardware that wouldn't pass the inspection for the plate, the
sure.
illuminating.
Sure.
And you'd buy a tub, whatever it weighed, 50 pounds, because everything was weight. And we'd take them back, and you'd go to Farm and Fleet and buy their mahogany wood stain, and slap it on, and let it dry for 3 days. Put the screws in it, and there was your $50 waterbed.
That's your frame.
There's your frame. What good would a waterbed be if you couldn't get a frame for $50? So I mean, yeah.
That's funny as hell.
Lori Hannebarger said my dad was a cop and wouldn't let us go into the Paradox.
No. Too bad.
Oh.
That is too bad.
That's discrimination.
Lori, I had a great time at your house last night drinking beer. Thank you.
Lori, we've never met, but I'm too bad you couldn't come to my store.
It is a shame.
Everybody had to experience Paradox.
We used to have great Christmas parties. We had great Christmas.
They were legendary,
Christmas parties were legendary.
from what I heard.
You never were there.
No, I was too young, Bernie.
Yeah. We would have a take in nitrous oxide, laughing gas.
Oh my goodness.
Kirk, I remember him stealing it from the hospital.
Well, we could get it a number of places through our friends,
Yep.
but we'd always have it, and we called it Big Blue because it was like a settling tank.
Yeah,
6-foot tank of blue. And when you see the gas trucks go down the street now, and you see the acetylene and the oxide, if you ever see a blue tank, it's going to some dental office. Follow them there. The guy goes in, steal the tank, and then he comes back out to deliver it, and the tank's gone. But
Kirk, I remember telling me about the hospital.
We would
yeah,
have-
we'd have nitrous oxide, man. We'd have a freaking great time with that shit.
oh my God, we had Big Blue. Every year at Christmas time, we would have a tank of nitrous.
And I can remember the first time I met Pizza, Carl Andrews. He brought, I'll never forget, Kirk came, I don't know where he was living at the time, but he was out of Pizza's house for 2 days. And nobody, when you come here, nobody went to the front door. Well, I had a knock on the front door. And I opened
Something was up.
I opened the front door and it's Pizza, and he's got Kirk and he's holding him, and Kirk's like this, and he goes, "Hey, I'm Pizza," and I go, "I brought Kirk home," and I go, "All right," and I took him upstairs. Never came down for 2 days. I'd go up and I go, "Okay, he's breathing, he's sleeping."
Yeah,
and that.
yeah.
For 2 days, he never woke. I mean, never came down.
Never
or
came out.
moved. And
Never
finally,
came out.
after 2 days, he did. And then I went out to Pizza's house one night, and I was hooked. And I can remember Pizza and Rosie. I'll never forget this. It was a cold winter night, and I mean, he turned me on to so many good bands. Canned Heat. I mean, just a lot of good music, and we had so much good times out there. But I can remember they were fighting over the last hit of acid. And I
Fighting over the last hit of acid.
Yes, I go, cut it in half. And I go, you guys can each take a piece and just,
I'll see you in a day.
Right enough. And we'll talk again on Tuesday.
Yeah, right.
but,
I'll see you in a day.
I had fun.
Isn't that right, Jay?
Yeah.
And we'd go up to Toad Hall. Pizza and I'd go up to Toad Hall all the time in Rockford that sold albums. And we'd we'd always buy just bunches of albums. And I had so much good memories of hanging out at his house. And the music was great. the music was what I was really turned on to, and
Life changing.
yes, it was just,
Life-changing.
it was just, and I remember we went
You
and
can
saw
admit it, Bill. It was life changing.
it was,
Yes.
and I
Admit
can
it was
remember going to
life-changing. We lived
see.
in an era. These kids today, they don't have anything life changing. We at that era had life changing with the activities that were happening outside of our world. You know what we had. It's yeah.
I can remember going to see, and I'm going to Pizza. I go, who the hell is this playing? He goes, it's Hot Tuna.
Oh, yeah.
Because we saw Airplane, and then Yorma and Cassidy came out and played. And I go, who's this? And he goes, it's Hot Tuna. I go, man, they're freaking great. You know, and I got 4 or
Right.
5 Hot Tuna albums downstairs.
Well, and then go back to the Grateful Dead and the New Riders of the Purple Sage.
So, oh yeah, Panama Red,
Yeah.
Steal Your Woman and Rob Your Head.
Yeah. Lisa, let's find out. I want to know how many of our listeners today went to Kickapoo Creek Rock Festival.
Kickapoo Creek Rock Festival. Well, while they reply, I've got a comment, a memory. Chris Thompson Weeks said to Bernie, "Do you remember the waitress that spilled red wine on your wife's white blouse at the Brandywine Inn?" Ringing a bell?
Boy, that's a good 10-pointer.
7.5 at least.
She spilled wine on my wife's white blouse
At the Brandywine. Yep, that was her. Chris Thompson Weeks.
Well, good for her. Did I leave the appropriate tip, I guess, would be the question. That I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
You must not have made a scene, otherwise you would have remembered it.
I can
I
remember.
know.
Remember the Canal House in Rock Falls?
Yes.
I went there with. I started working.
That's a
at-
good one, the Canal.
Lisa's grandma got me the job at Lundstrom's Florist. She came over here across the street and told my brother, you know, hey, do you want a job? Lundstrom's Florist is looking for somebody. He goes, no, I don't want to work there. I said, I will. It was 1973. So I went over there and worked.
Oh.
Well, Rob Lundstrom and I were good friends, and we went over to eat at the Canal House. And I'll never forget, he had white pants on, and this waitress, honest to God, truth, waitress come up to serve us, and he had spaghetti, and she dropped the freaking plate on his lap.
Well,
Oh, gee.
Chris
I
says,
couldn't
Chris says
stop
that you were
laughing.
very kind, and she was so embarrassed. It was a whole glass of wine. And we've got a Kickapoo comment.
Give me
Oh.
Kickapoo.
There you go.
Tony Fiorini. I went to Kickapoo with Mark Ikonen.
I don't know, Mark.
Mark who?
Ikonen, Ikonen. Mark.
I don't.
Tony's probably 60.
No, Kickapoo. Well, I don't know. Kickapoo would have been mid 70s, and
But Tony's like, I'm 62.
Yeah.
Tony's probably 67, 60.
Something like that.
yeah, he's a little younger than me. Yeah,
Yep.
but that was the major music event, probably in a 3-year period. There were other little major concerts. I mean, I saw the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band in an outdoor, 2-day event. I saw Joplin over in Iowa City in a big cornfield outside of Iowa City. Yeah, there were, but the Kickapoo Creek was the one that drew lots of
Who was
people in
there?
At Kickapoo?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Ask who was at Kickapoo. Let's
Anybody
find out.
know who was at Kickapoo? Go ahead and put up a reply and I'll post it.
Yeah, find out who was at Kickapoo.
What year was
While we were waiting for that, Alicia Marie, was there a record shop in Dixon called Nickelodeon? She said she met Weird Al there. She still has his autograph.
That sounds right.
There was a record shop in the basement next to a barber shop on First Street or Green Avenue, right there at the corner.
Oh, I'm not remembering
I don't
if that was it
Nickelodeon.
or not. But I
We didn't
remember
go to Dixon
Nickelodeon
very
was
much.
definitely the name of a.
the only place we ever went to was Brooks. When I was a kid in Dixon.
Brooks Drugstore.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have Brooks Drugstore popcorn machine.
Do you really? That's the only place we went to in Dixon. My uncle was there. My uncle was in the the garden club that was founded. It was called the Men's Garden Club at the time. He was one of the original members,
Okay.
Vince Ole.
Okay.
Anybody say anything about who the bands were?
Nope.
Oh,
no
come on, you
Kickapoo
old-
comments.
Old bastards.
What do
Come
I
on.
do if I have
Tony,
to?
you got it. Who was playing at Kickapoo, Tony?
I'll show you. Yes, definitely take that off. We don't want to hear.
Well,
Oh, Alicia clarified. She said it's in the farm chain's current location, the Nickelodeon.
Oh, Ken Novak's place.
Yep.
Right, Kenny. God bless Kenny.
Yep.
That was a tough loss.
Yep.
Kenny was quite a character.
Oh, yes. When did you get that?
I just went and got it.
Oh. Come here, Bernie.
Well, hi everybody. How's it going?
Here you go, Jay. Going solo.
Which board? We bought those.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, make sure you turn your mics
Just go
off.
right in there and turn. You'll see the light on.
Bud, have him turn his mic off.
Just he doesn't want to pull a J.
Oh, Tony says, give me a moment. He's thinking about
He's
Kickapoo.
thinking about Kickapoo?
Yeah.
Okay.
My God, we're on 2 hours.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah. Well, and that's a cool thing because people still are buying and trading and selling and, you know, recognizing the value of albums, you know.
Did
We met.
what's her name get back to you about those?
Yeah, I went and got them last night.
Oh, I never saw anything
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, she just messaged me and said it's a friend of mine whose mom died and his wife died and he's looking to get rid of.
Did you have to buy them or?
I bought them from him.
Okay.
I
So
gotta
you
go.
bought all of them?
No, I left all the country.
Okay.
Carol Spencer asked a question. Wasn't it Tony Beckalaka that ran the Canal House? There.
I'm not sure who ran
This is not.
I don't know who ran the Canal House.
This is not. I don't know. of
I have
that
no
at
clue
all.
on that.
Yeah.
And then Brian says the Nickelodeon record store was owned by John Edmonds, who was in a band called Night Flight
Yes.
with John Cameron,
Yes.
Carrie Camp, Mike Veneer, and Joey Ramirez. They
Yep.
Oh, I know Joey.
They practiced in the basement, and I used to go upstairs and ramble through the records while they were practicing.
Night Flight. Damn. Good job, Brian. Well done.
Bevilacqua. Sorry.
Oh, Tony Bevilacqua?
Yeah.
Sure. Tony. I don't know if he had the Canal House. I know he had Steakhouse West, and he ran the Holiday Inn down here. I don't remember the Canal House. And he had a Union 76 store or a place on Route 30 for years because we used to go there after church too, and we get those cinnamon rolls we're freaking to kill for. Oh my God.
Oh, she said he got busted for being a pimp?
Tony?
I don't know. Scott Vreel says, running a bit long tonight, you guys. I'm quite enjoying the extended show this
Yeah,
week.
it's like 2 hours, I know.
I know. Yep. So nothing on Kickapoo might be a Google thing.
So did you get any good records from Crystal?
Mostly from Diesel, you mean? It's Diesel is his name. Well, that's not.
I don't
the
know
name
who
on-
it was. I
That's
just-
not his name on his birth certificate, I guarantee you, but they call him Diesel. Our kind of guy. Anyway, Elvis, Billy Joel, Pat Benatar, a Buddy Holly
See, she's
album.
playing. I see she's playing at Quad Cities, at the Adler Theater.
Pat
September.
Benatar?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
September or something.
Linda Sue Brown, way back when, said Bernie, Bud, and Jay need to write a book with all this history of music in vinyl and albums.
Well, all that useless knowledge, it turned out to be valuable.
I guess.
On July 30th, 2021.
No, that's Garf.
Leisha Marie said the zoo had live acts. Is that,
Yeah.
The
They were
Chris-
saying the
Chris
Canal
Thompson.
House had Tony Bevilacqua. Did he run that one?
Tony Bevilacqua did run the Canal House.
Okay. So,
turn the mic back on?
The restaurant.
well, remember the one on Route 30, 70, Union 76?
Oh, yeah, 3030.
Yes. Right. Well, that wasn't far from the J&R, where the J&R was. God, his food. And we'd go to Steakhouse West, and you know the band that played there forever, the Ebb Tides. and they would play
That text.
The Lion Sleeps Tonight by the Tokens every time. And they'd also play Cab Driver.
Terry Fritz said that John Casson owned the Canal House.
Cassins?
Could be.
Cassenn.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of memories.
Yeah, it was a different time.
Sure it was.
It was a different time.
Well, should we wrap it up? I mean, it's been 2 hours.
Sure.
All right.
It's been 2 hours.
Yeah.
I know, right?
It's 8:30.
Chris Thompson Weeks said Candlelight had live bands.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do next?
Party to puke.
Again?
Again.
Here, I'm just gonna put it this way. There you go. That's how it has to be.
Well, it's an awesome serendipity that the two of you ran into each other at the gas pump at the.
Well, he was
Shell
across me, and I go, and
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm headed out of town. You know.
and I just hit me. I go, shit, he'd be great to come on about Paradox. Everybody knows what Paradox was in Sterling.
Well, John has queued us up.
All right.
He says, what a great sipping trip. Great stories. Peace and love, all of you.
Thank you, John. Peace and
Thank
love.
We
John.
appreciate it, John.
All right.
Thank you.
I
I'm
think
glad
we're
to
gonna
be here.
sign
I
off.
feel privileged that I got to be on Bud's deck tonight.
Oh.
I want to thank him and Lisa, our technical support team, and our
Bullshit
Heather.
artist.
huh?
Heather.
No, but what's Heather's role?
What's her role? She's my rock.
And Heather the Rock. and Jay, and of course my bodyguard Frank. So it was a great time. Thanks, Bud.
It
Well,
was
thank
wonderful.
you, Bernie. It was awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, it was better than I
being able
thought.
to reacquaint.
I'd love to come
and-
back again. I think it was a great idea.
You guys want Bernie to come back again? Give me a thumbs up.
Free bird.
All right, you guys. Well, have yourself a great weekend. Thanks so
Take
much
care,
for
and the
hanging
weather's
with
gonna
us.
Be cool.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.
You bet. We love you.
Thanks, Bernie.
See ya. Thanks,
Good time.
Bernie. Thanks, Bernie.
Yeah, it was. Fun time.
Breakfast at Bernie's.
All right.